Monday night, and you know what that means. The Jersey First Television Network proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And certainly, I am the generational talent in Garden State media because, ladies and gentlemen, now more than ever, my level of honesty is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. I'm the hero you need right now in all forms of media. That's right. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday again as we're closing out the month of March. I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so on this, the 31st of March in 2025. Of course, I want to thank you all for tuning in again. If you're watching us on Facebook Live via StreamYard, also on the Jersey First YouTube page, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and of course, all of our social media platforms. We appreciate you making this a part of your Monday night viewing. Folks, I can't say enough. If you haven't done so already, it takes 5 seconds. Like, comment, and share tonight's episode here on Real Talk. Of course, make sure you like us on Facebook. Of course, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and X. And for all of you that love us on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, it takes 5 seconds. Trust me, I've actually timed it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Jersey First Television Network on YouTube. And of course, whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First and you'll be automatically notified of all the great content we bring you every single week here on Jersey First TV. And speaking of Jersey First TV, folks, yes, it's such a privilege to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the Jersey First Television Network. Of course, brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative, hosted by my outstanding tag team partner, the amazing Elizabeth Nader, premiere every Thursday. Of course, check out local listings for start times. And of course, brand new episodes of Real Talk are live every Monday night. Again, check your local listings, of course, for start times. And once again, we appreciate you making this a part of your Monday night viewing. Folks, it's a jam-packed show, and specifically during Final Thoughts, I have a lot to say about what's going on our college campuses. As you know, I'm really the only journalist in Garden State media that's really exposing all the rampant anti-Semitism that's going on in academia, within the establishment media, and really I'm the only journalist that's exposing it for what it is. As you can see there, I've talked about this very famous picture back from 1938, right? When you see Nazi soldiers stopping Jewish students and faculty members on the steps of Vienna University in Austria back in 1938. And some 70 plus years later, we're basically seeing Nazis with headscarves on the steps of Columbia University on the Upper West Side. And you can tell there, obviously, it's just really Nazis with headscarves, folks. And I'm going to tell you why these two pictures are essentially the same and why anti-Semitism, unfortunately, is still running rampant on our campuses. And I'll expose more of it during Final Thoughts. Of course, also, folks, a lot to cover as well. The regular, resident Trump derangement syndrome assembly candidates in Hudson County had the latest nonsense to put out today, obviously with columns being published about them and their just insane candidacy. I'm going to tell you why Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala continue to make fools of themselves during this campaign season. More on that during Final Thoughts. And of course, folks, I can't say enough. I thought he was retired. I thought he was working at McDonald's. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, Tommy Boy, the chief TDS sycophant in New Jersey media, Tom Moran, has resurfaced with his latest nonsensical column. Of course, he's no longer writing for the Star Ledger. But folks, make no mistake about it, Tommy Boy is as silly as ever. And I'll cover that more during Final Thoughts. And on a serious note, of course, ladies and gentlemen, I will be paying tribute to Modesto Medina, a great New Jersey resident and former archivist for the New York Times, who recently passed last weekend after a long battle with illness at the age of 95. And of course, as you know, he is the father of the chairman of the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and a big fan of this show and a dear friend of mine, Carlos Medina. I'll pay tribute to his father later on in the program. And of course, last but not least, folks, during Final Thoughts, it is March the 31st. And really the only day that matters today is the fact that it is the end of what I like to call biological Women's History Month. Biological women, biological females, those adult females that have ovaries, a vagina, a uterus, biological women, right? Because those are the women we need to celebrate during this month, not adult men playing make-believe or adolescent little boys playing dress-up. No, folks, I'm going to pay tribute to biological women during Women's History Month. You don't want to miss out on that, folks, as I tell you the truth about Biological Women's History Month. Folks, again, if you just joined us, again, it takes a few seconds. Like, comment, and share tonight's episode on all your social media platforms. It's a double main event tonight. And of course, we always talk about politics on this show, but you know what? Let me mix it up a little bit with topics that are just as important, if not equally more important. Folks, it's really about health and wellness. And in a time when we're trying to get summer ready or just to be healthy overall, you know what? It's important to talk to the professionals that make it possible for us to get even healthier no matter what time of year it is. And why not talk to celebrity fitness trainer Shanit Barr, as she's our guest live right now on Real Talk. Shanit, how are you?
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm saying welcome. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you. And folks, again, check out Shanit on Instagram. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But Shanit, good to see you on here. And obviously, it's March 31st. And Mother Nature's kind of flirting with us. It's one day it feels like spring, one day it feels like summer, one day it feels like winter. But regardless, we want to get summer ready. And obviously, for someone like me with only 1.5 abs, you got more abs than I can count. But you stay healthy. But you're also so encouraging for men and women that you train on a daily basis. Let's sort of get into really the facets of what got you into health and wellness.
Well, I was raised in a fitness family. My mother was a gym teacher and she had a workout studio. Growing up, I watched her work out on the weekends, every day, sometimes 2-3 hours a day. And sometimes she used to bring me, and I really liked it. I was mostly a gymnast and a dancer growing up. And sometimes my aunt, who was also a competitive bodybuilder, used to take me on the weekends and train me at Gold's Gym. But I kind of shelved it. I was just mostly dancing throughout college. And then after, I put on the freshman 15, and I literally came home from college, and my mother looked at me and she said, "You are 18 and you have cellulite, you're coming with me to the gym." And that was the end for me. I went with her the next day to the gym, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I got into the best shape of my life, and I never really skipped a day since then. I did pursue music for a while, and fitness just circled right back into my life. I became an instant success at Reebok Sports Club, and then carried on into Equinox Sports Club, and now I run my own company, Bottoms Up Fit.
It's interesting. You bring up the term freshman 15s. Oh my God, that brings me back to my days at Rutgers University in New Brunswick for my undergraduate days. Oh my God, the Brower Commons dining hall was our enemy every day. I mean, yes, the freshman 15s.
I was having like frozen yogurt and cereal for dessert, sometimes like once or twice. French fries if I didn't like what they offered. I mean, what is that? What is that? Somebody needs to teach college kids that it's not okay to eat that way.
Yeah, listen, you're absolutely right. And for a guy that lived on cereal a lot for dinner, because we're always broke in college, especially undergrads. Obviously the freshman 15s are days I kind of want to forget, but good term there for sure. Now, Shanit, one of the things I think that's interesting about the area we live in, obviously the New York tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, it's such a cosmopolitan area. Obviously, it's, the cost of living continues to skyrocket. It's not even affordable to live in this area any longer. And that's really, I would argue, kind of putting people in really tough positions here about what to prioritize. Obviously, I think, listen, I say it all the time, health is wealth. I think that cannot be overstated enough. But again, in an area like ours where the rents are too damn high, I mean, that's a moniker we used to hear for a while, and property values are skyrocketing, adults, couples, parents, families having to work 1, 2, even 3 jobs to be able to afford to live in the area. Oftentimes exercising, even something as minimal as power walking or doing some cardio at home, that seems to be almost becoming forgotten in an economic climate that is really, I think, putting people in a very precarious position. Is that fair to say?
I agree. And it's important to teach people that there's always an opportunity to move your body. You just have to make it fun. And I think that everybody puts a bad stigma on working out. Oh, I have to work out. Oh, it's a luxury to work out. It's a luxury to be able to move your body. Not everybody has that luxury. And people forget that when they're in the hustle and bustle of a cosmopolitan area, but also in the suburbs. People are focused on everything else, especially like moms, they're focused on everything else and everyone else but themselves. And they don't realize that if something, God forbid, happens and they're forced to stop completely, they're not really thinking about their families. Like they're only thinking short-term goals. But the most important thing that we as people need to start focusing on is the long-term goals. The long term is how long are you going to be there for your children and family? Are you going to be able to play with your grandkids? These are all important things, not just wake up, rinse, wash, repeat. Those days are over. We are now more educated about health and wellness. We know what's right. We know what's wrong. We need to start implementing them. Little small choices in diet, little small choices. Do I take the subway and it takes 30 minutes to get to the subway, or I can walk and it's the same 30 minutes? Choose that. If it's not cold, choose that. Put some headphones on. Take every opportunity to move your body, because I'm telling you that there is somebody out there that would give anything that can to do so, and you should cherish it.
Absolutely well said. Health is wealth, without a doubt. Folks, if you're just joining us live right now, it's 6:11 here on the East Coast. Tonight's first half of the evening's double main event is celebrity fitness trainer Shanit Barr joins us live here on Real Talk. Again, folks, like, comment, and share, as well as subscribe to Real Talk on all of our social media platforms here on this Monday night, the 31st of March, here in 2025. Now, Shanit, you mentioned diet, and I think, listen, like anything else, exercising is wonderful. To your point, whether you can power walk to work instead of taking the subway or an Uber or a Lyft and save some money. But diet, I would argue, is just as important, because, listen, you can run 20 miles on the treadmill, or you can go running, obviously, and we'll get to the importance of running with good sneakers and on even ground and things of that nature. But I would argue that especially in a country like ours, right? And, we're not going to make the episode very political at all, but we know that MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, has been a big moniker for so many people, regardless of your political affiliations. But the challenge with that is the way our food is processed in this country, the way our food is prepared. And yes, you can work out, but if you're not eating healthy, which is also very expensive, I think you're almost kind of like cutting your nose to spite your face, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Nutrition goes hand in hand with being fit. If you're eating horrible foods, you're not going to be able to move with energy. Your sleep patterns are going to be disrupted. Food is basically, it could be a poison or it could benefit you. And you really have to choose if you want the whole package. And there is a saying, you can't out-train a bad diet. And that's absolutely true. If I'm putting poison in my system and I'm asking my system to work, it's not going to work efficiently. Therefore, I'm not going to be able to burn calories in the same way as if I was putting healthy nutrients in my body, if I was feeding my body with just delights that would give me energy, that would not weigh me down. Of course, everything matters. Your body is a machine. People forget that. If you don't put diesel in a Mercedes, how is it going to run? You have to think of your body as a Mercedes, because it is. It's your only one. You can't just put in whatever is available. Every once in a while, fine. We're all human. We can eat this and that here and there. That's not going to affect us. But over time, it will. Over time, it's going to sit in your body. It's going to build. And it's time to, make the world a little bit more knowledgeable about that. And yes, I am happy that there has been brought to light the chemicals that are put in American food. My clients, every time they go to Europe, no matter how much they eat, they come back thinner. We have to think about that. What is in our food that is keeping America fat? And how do we change that? Aren't we ready for that?
Absolutely. Well said. Listen, you're talking to the guy that, a good Cuban sandwich every now and then, not a bad thing, right? But
not a bad thing at all. I love myself a great burger.
Definitely. But it's interesting because you bring up the importance of dieting, obviously, and what food you're consuming. It goes hand in hand, obviously, a good workout regimen and a healthy diet. I think, obviously, it's pretty much, they're interlocked really almost, at the hip, as they say. But when it comes to, let's say, your business, obviously, as a celebrity fitness trainer, and you're working with clients, and obviously you're so busy, you have a wait list. So that's tells me, business is good these days, certainly. So I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Take us through maybe what an initial intake or consultation goes through when you've talked to clients, when you've taken them on. Obviously, everyone's different. their BMI, their body mass index obviously is very different. They may be looking for different results, different expectations. What's been lately for you, that sit down? What's it been like with men and women you're sitting down with when it comes to, again, that initial consultation, coming up with a workout plan, and hopefully making them, and getting them and encouraging them, obviously, to stick with it? Take us through what that process consists of.
Well, typically, do an assessment, and I do a visual assessment. I don't do like all the like measurements and all that, because most of the time people just want to look better and feel better. They don't need all the stats. If you want all the stats, I'm not the trainer for you. I'm going to listen to your body, intuitively know how to train you. I switch things up every day. I do not do this program where you come in and you do 15 exercises with little modifications Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you want that, I'm not your person. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not your person. I'm the person that when you come in and you feel energetic and bright, I'm gonna give you an energetic and bright workout. I'm the person also when you're not feeling your best, or you have any number of stresses and you come in and you haven't slept, or you had a fight with your spouse or whatever, and you're just not feeling up to it, but you felt like canceling, I will train you in response to that. But no matter what, I think the reason why my clients, not only because I'm such a tough trainer, but my clients see the most results because they know they never have to cancel, because they know that they can show up no matter what, and I will push them to their absolute maximum, and that's how they get results. They get results from consistency. Yes, my training is smart. Yes, my training is very specialized. It's based on body type, age, what somebody wants. I don't think it's just enough for people to be strong. People also want to look amazing. So I want to think about, how is my client going to look amazing, feel amazing, and also be strong, loving the results, and be consistent. These are things that matter to me and my clients.
Now, Shanit, when we talk about, again, these regimens, obviously, we covered dieting. When you talk to these specific, and we talked about it last week, you and I, obviously,
Yes.
when it comes to my own exercise routine, I mean, obviously, I love jujitsu. Running is great. It certainly works for me. Doing some cardio at home is also very vital. But to your point, everyone's very different. Everyone obviously has a different body type and are looking for different results. And you said it perfectly where, hey, you're not there to sort of come up with this sort of figure of what it should look like in 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, you want the client to be healthy, healthier. When it comes to, whether it's home regimens, again, because if they're busy and they can't see you, what would you say to our audience today that if you can't get to the gym, and I know plenty of people that love to, film their workouts and certainly have them, either it's therapeutic for them or instructional, regardless. But if they can't make that trip to the gym, what would you recommend as perhaps the best exercises to do at home when, again, maybe you worked overtime, I can't go see you, and, hey, I'll miss out on a session, I'll make the next one, but you know what, I'm home, I'm a little tired, but I can still do even 30 minutes at home. What's the best regimen you could recommend?
Well, I love doing bodyweight exercises. The easiest thing for me is, even me, when I just want to stay at home and I don't feel like going to the gym, I will choose 4 exercises and do them 4 times. So 4 exercises, a minute in duration, and I multiply that by 4, and then I do a little thing called around the world abs also to finish it off for the last few minutes, in which I have my hands all the way out to the side, and I do 20 to 30 repetitions of crunches, and I continuously move till I get to 4, 4, 4, and 4. So like a standard workout that I would do if I was home, I would want to do like 1 cardio pop, so 1 minute of mountain climbers. Then I would do squats, maybe 15 squat jumps, followed by 15 squats. Then I would do burpees, and then I would do perhaps a forearm plank. That's a good example. So I'm just going to repeat that just in case somebody wants to write it down. But 1 minute of mountain climbers, followed by 30 seconds of squats, 30 seconds of squat jumps. Then I'm going to do 1 minute of burpees, and then finish with a 1 minute plank. If you do that 4 times in a row for 4 minutes, you'll get 60 minutes. and then finish with a round the world ab, and you're good to go. I mean, it gets all the blood circulation going, and you'll definitely feel like you've worked out.
Great words to live by. Folks, again, if you just joined us live right now, it's 6:21 here on the East Coast. Don't go anywhere. Again, like, comment, and share tonight's episode of Real Talk, as the first half of the evening's double main event is celebrity fitness trainer Shanit Barr joining us live here on the Jersey First Television Network. Now, Shanit, obviously getting a good trainer certainly is the right start, but we see some literature out there and maybe some data, maybe if you've come across it. Also, I think what's become very popular, in addition to hiring a trainer, I see a lot of meal prepping. I see a lot of meal plans, and these businesses that have been servicing. I mean, we saw it obviously during the pandemic when people were
Yes.
home and obviously maybe not eating in the healthiest way possible. But certainly we saw these businesses in the sense surface and skyrocketing and remain very, very lucrative. What would you tell your clients if they say to you, hey, Shanit, yes, I love training with you, but sometimes cooking isn't the best thing. Do you try to encourage them, discourage them, or sort of take it on a case-by-case basis about meal prepping and these companies that offer meal plans for specific working professionals?
I have a thing with, I haven't found one that I could really recommend, because a lot of them have crazy amounts of sodium, and like, I don't think that fat is bad at all. I don't think that carbs, I don't really think there's anything bad, but I'm not a big believer in foods that are high in sodium. And I often find that prepackaged food, prepared food, is loaded with sodium, even from like the most known purveyors. So for me, I don't know. I mean, my clients are very sensitive. A lot of my clients get on the scale every single day and they freak out. They go out to dinner, they have pad thai, whatever they want to have, and then they weigh themselves the next day. I don't know why. I would never in a million years do that, and I'm completely happy with the way that I look. But a lot of those meal plans have high sodium. I do think that if I saw somebody was really struggling with their schedule, that I would recommend one. I would have to research one, but I think that the sodium is the first thing that I would look at. And also, you have to make sure that it doesn't have 5 million ingredients as well. I've never tried any of it, though. I just feel like it's not that hard, especially if you live in Manhattan, to just pick up some food, make a couple of hard-boiled eggs and have yogurt, have nuts on hand, have a protein bar, run in and grab a smoothie, pick up grilled chicken on the way home. It's really not hard, but maybe for people that are outside of more metropolitan area, you may need to do a little bit more preparation. I just think that real food is always the best food, and I get scared when it's sealed like that.
And when you mention real food again, and listen, I thought of you yesterday. I was at Whole Foods, and certainly I love my fruits. I love obviously what Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and these type of businesses offer. But like everything else, we live in an area that continues to become increasingly unaffordable. People are making decisions, whether it's rent, quality food, car insurance, you name it. Obviously, there's decision making to be made. When we think about food shopping, it's certainly not an exact science, but when clients go up to you and say, hey, listen, this is what my budget is, what would you recommend? What would you say? Well, if I have to prioritize A, B, and C, then let's go this way. So what would A, B, and C be for you when it comes to, again, prioritizing food shopping?
I'm a big believer in yogurt. I think that it's a quick fix. I even think that, sometimes maybe you eat your dinner too early, or you didn't have enough food, or you just get hungry. You just take a half a scoop of yogurt, maybe right before your workout. You start it early in the morning, but if you have a big meal, which you shouldn't before the workout, just take a little bit of yogurt. I think yogurt is such a great choice. So yogurt would be number one on there. Are we talking about things that people will cook or not cook?
Well, I would say, again, both. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're going food shopping, I mean, people are making a conscious decision about what to buy. And again, whether it's packing a lunch for work instead of eating out with colleagues, whether it's, eating out for dinner during the week, listen, Uber Eats, and let's be honest, I mean, all these companies have gotten rich off of people.
Like a biscuit. No, forget it.
Yeah. But what would you say? I mean, again, when we think about not to sort of harp on the meal plan concept, but when it comes to the food shopping component, it certainly isn't easy on a budget, and more so if you're not informed about what foods really benefit you the most.
I think high protein is the way to go always. I mean, I think that grilled chicken, turkey burgers are an amazing way to just get like almost all of your protein for the day. So eggs, yogurt, grilled chicken, turkey burgers, those are my top choices, and yogurt. Those are my top choices. Obviously, vegetables are important as well. I'm a big lover of spinach and fennel. Those are my two favorite vegetables. But yeah, those are my top foods. Those are the top foods that I eat during the week. On the weekend, I'm a little bit more flexible. I like to give myself that balance. I think that balance also aids in regulating your cortisol, that you're not always stressed and you don't overeat. So, but during the week, I definitely like to eat clean. Even like Trader Joe's has these amazing turkey meatballs. I love Japanese sweet potatoes. All these make for really enjoyable meals.
Shanit, obviously there might be a misconception out there about the life of a trainer. And it's certainly for a lot of people, it looks very glorious, certainly very exciting, but I mean, let me sort of put this very bluntly. It is not as easy as it's painted out to be by some that do it as influencers in one shape, way, or form. You know, in your process, in your journey to becoming a fitness trainer, obviously, in many instances, being a celebrity fitness trainer, working with high-end clients, wealthy clients of that nature, the journey certainly isn't as glamorous, I think, as some paint it out to be. What would you say to anyone watching tonight that's like, maybe, they're at a crossroads in their career, they may want to leave the private sector or the public sector or whatever industry that they're in and say, you know what, I want to get healthy. This is a good way to do it. Let's sort of separate fact from fiction when it comes to becoming a trainer. What is the regimen involved? And quite frankly, the consistency that I would argue probably is required.
In becoming a trainer?
Yes.
Well, the first few years are brutal. You have very early mornings, especially like if you get hired by a club, you have to do shifts to pick up business. And then once you get busy, like I did, I got busy within just a few weeks. I was already doing like 20 sessions a week. You still have to keep those floor shifts. Those floor shifts allow you to communicate with the members, but they do become burdensome after a while. The first about 3 to 5 years of me being a trainer, I was working 7 days a week. I realized that 5 a.m. clients are not my thing, but I started as early as 6 a.m. At the time, I was living 30 minutes from the club that I was working in, so I had to wake up sometimes at 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and then you don't get home till very late. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's almost. I'm just remembering how tired I was and how little of a life I had. But I have to tell you that what kept me going is how fulfilled and I felt being able to help people, how nourishing it is to be able to give back. I had my journey with fitness also. It wasn't always easy. I struggled with food when I was younger, and I struggled with a lot of different things related to body image, like a lot of young girls do. And I am able to give back, so to speak, in that regard. I'm able to teach people about positivity, and in turn, people give you back love, right? And you get that second family. So I would have to say that even though the first few years were very challenging, I really felt like my adrenals were zapped out with the schedule. Over time, it does normalize, and you find your rhythm. But the one thing that if you love people and you think it's really your true purpose that kept me going was the joy I was able to share with others. And in turn, it came back to me as well. So it's a really, really amazing, amazing career and profession. I wouldn't say it's like being a doctor, but you make people's lives richer. You allow people to get excited about things that they normally wouldn't. And it can be life-changing, not only for you, for the trainers, it's life-changing. but it's also life-changing for your clients, and they pass it on to their children and their children's children, and so on and so forth.
Shanit, social media, I would argue, has created, I would argue, this echo chamber for people when it comes to fitness. Where, listen, when you're watching certain videos, certain influencers, you can almost kind of fall down that rabbit hole of like, what is the right way to train? What are things to avoid? What are things to practice? But at the end of the day, you brought up a very interesting term, and I think because of social media, we become almost accustomed to body shaming in some cases, unfortunately. And I think that I, I don't want to call it a fixation on fitness and health and wellness, but I think that people look at social media as an outlet where, hey, you know what? Looking at these Instagram reels on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, for God's sakes, TikTok, Snapchat, you name it. It just seems like an enormous amount of pressure has been put on our society because of social media, and even more so with kids, whether it's how they're eating, the pressure falls on parents perhaps to make sure that kids aren't becoming obese. I mean, again, the data will tell us from the World Health Organization that the United States continues to lead the world. It's not even close. It continues to lead the world in obesity, and that's scary because, to your point, when people go to Europe and they're eating healthier, they're not eating processed foods, obviously they're not gaining that sort of exponential weight that they would here. What would you say is maybe the best recommendation or the best guidance about what to stay away from on social media? Because again, at the end of the day, listen, self-esteem is an issue for many Americans, maybe for some of your clients. What do you tell them, if anything, when it comes to social media?
Almost everything is doctored on social media. I sometimes am shocked. I mean, sometimes you can tell, but sometimes you can't. So there are people that look amazing in real life, but a lot of it is fake. And you have to understand that social media is essentially like the movies or television. You have to always weigh what is real, what isn't real. If you go to see like a movie in IMAX and you see flying monkeys, you don't even second guess it because you're like, well, I know that's not real. A lot of the times when you're on social media, you have to remind yourself that a good portion of what you're seeing is not real. It's filtered. It's doctored with these special apps. And granted, achieving your perfect body is definitely possible, but if every time you go on social media, you get depressed, don't go. But if you can learn whatever you can from social media, because there is a lot to learn if you know how to decipher what's good and what's not. If you can just take it as a grain of salt, take what you can from it, don't put too much pressure on what you see, because 9 times out of 10, they mess with it.
Folks, if you're just joining us live right now, it's 6:34 here on the East Coast, and my guest right now is celebrity fitness trainer Shanit Barr. Tonight's first half of the evening's double main event. We have great assembly candidates coming up at the top of the hour. You want to stick around for that. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, a jam-packed final thought, so you don't want to miss out on that as well. Shanit, obviously the weather's getting warmer, thank the Lord, even though Mother Nature's kind of getting a little, a little bipolar here. Again, when it comes to temperatures, Saturday afternoon, I was sweating, wearing a windbreaker at 78 degrees, and within an hour, it literally dropped 20 degrees. I mean, listen, I'm fortunate where I have a great immune system, not like Wolverine from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I was like, hey, listen, that's great for me, but obviously not for everybody. And when we think about the weather getting warmer, certainly it hopefully should encourage people to want to run, to be outside, even power walk. We know that maybe sometimes running isn't possible. I always tell friends of mine or people that ask me, hey, listen, what's the best way to run? I'm not a trainer, but I would tell, hey, listen, if you can go to a track, do that. You don't want to be running on sidewalks or streets that are not paved. I mean, I think running on tracks, running even on boardwalks, if you can do it down the Jersey Shore or out in the Hamptons maybe, would seem to be the best remedy. And also obviously having great running sneakers, of course, I would argue would probably be the best remedy to address running. Is that fair to say?
I'm not a big runner. I think it's an amazing exercise if you're wearing proper footwear and if you know running mechanics, because a lot of people do get injured. But I do think it's a very efficient way of relieving stress. I know a lot of my clients swear by it. For women, I always tell them to power walk because I think that it elongates their upper thighs. I do think it makes the butt look like a pancake if you're always running because it's almost impossible to get all that, all the nutrients back into the body. But I do think that if you're good at it and you have proper footwear and yeah, the ground is very important. I think dirt for me, if I was to do a run, if somebody said, hey, let's do a run, I'm like, okay, let's try something different. I think I would be the most comfortable on dirt because it has that give, so it's safer for the low back and the knees.
When we think about, again, the summer months and obviously exercising, trying to get summer ready for a lot of us, even when it is summer, it doesn't stop. I mean, we have to sort of keep with the routine. Obviously, even if you're on vacation, maybe hit the gym, go running on the beach, whatever, doing the necessary, even while on vacation. Listen, I, like anybody else, want to be under an umbrella, have a nice margarita, have a good book under the shade, but, or whether we're out dancing all night, right? Or whatever the case may be, just because it's summer, it shouldn't discourage people from sort of keeping that regimen. Is that something you tell your clients consistently to make sure that they don't deviate?
I just think that like working out, like, you know, working out is a job for your body to keep running. That's what it is. So you can take little vacations like you take vacations from your job, but overall, you are consistent, right? You know that you have to go to work in order to do X, Y, and Z. Same thing for your body. Your body needs this particular thing in order to keep operating, in order to function, in order to feel good. So yes, I tell my clients to always work out. On vacation, not as much, maybe a power walk. I do consider dancing a workout, especially the way I do it. So on vacation, I like to pick places that have a heavy dance theme, but yeah, a power walk on the beach is enough. And also, you know, don't go too crazy with the food, but of course it's vacation. Summer, winter, spring, fall, your body's always going to be your body no matter what. You have to treat it like a shrine. You only get one. You can take breaks, but don't take centuries, because before you know it, you know, if you don't do everything right by your body when it needs to get done, your body will remind you that it needs it, and it's not going to be pleasant. So
Listen, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, the receipts are there. You got to treat your body like you mentioned before. I mean, I value my car. You take it for an oil change. You do all the necessary maintenance to make sure that, and you know, again, I hate to sound like the typical guy here, but I got to make sure she's running on all cylinders. I got to make sure she doesn't let me down when I need her. And it's no different than your body. I think, again, whether it's summer, fall, you know, spring or winter, again, it's that maintenance. And as we get older, to your point, listen, you know, I'm someone that, you know, as I mentioned to you last week, obviously hitting a big birthday in a few weeks, but that shouldn't discourage me from the fact that, hey, listen, even when you work out, you wake up the next morning, yeah, you're a little more sore. Yeah, the body takes a little bit longer to recover, but it shouldn't discourage you because, again, within 10, 15 years, you want that body to be crisp. You want your health, heart health, everything health, intestinal health. You want that to be there for the long term. And I think that, you know, again, getting back to the area we live in, though, Shanit, we're so busy with work, people that are working jobs in the private sector, public sector, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-hour weeks. You know, you and I have talked in private, obviously, you know what my schedule is. I got to make time to get just to be healthy. But people still struggle with that, even with so many amenities available to them. Again, not just having you as a trainer, for example, but again, we live in our smartphones, right? So if you can't even leave your house to go see a trainer, there's so many apps and programs that are there available. Yes, it'll cost money, but like anything else, anything worth investing, especially with your body, is worth every penny as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. But I don't really, I think for a lot of people, it's not really about the cost. I think that people have this notion that they can't, that they don't have time. Time is not something that just like you find like a penny on the street. Time is something that you make. If I know, like, for example, Tuesday, I'm working nonstop. So I start at 6 a.m. and I don't finish till 6:30 p.m. So what do? I wake up at 4:45. I get in a 30-minute workout at the gym. Maybe it's not as powerful as the one I would have at at noon, but I get it done and I feel great. I never ever regret it. So I think that for a lot of people, it's yes, for some people it's about money, but there are people that have very little and they're still doing pull-ups in the park. They're still going for the run, as we spoke about. They're still doing push-ups. I know some people that just stay fit just doing push-ups every day or jumping jacks, and that's it. If you really want it, you get it done. If you really want it, you make the time. A lot of it is up here. A lot of it is, can I do it? Do I deserve it? How much do you love your body? And the answer is, if you're not making time to work out, it's probably not as much as somebody that is.
That's well said there for sure. Shani, we'll be wrapping up in a little bit just with you here. But folks, again, if you're just joining us live, it's 6:43 here on the East Coast. I'll be wrapping up shortly with my outstanding guest tonight, the first half of the evening's double main event. She's celebrity fitness trainer Shanit Bar here on the program. Now, Shanit, obviously, you love to work out, you love to travel. Certainly eating right is certainly, again, half the battle in some cases also. But when we talk about health and wellness, it's not just about the physical, but it's also about mental health. And I think especially in an area that we live in, once again, it continues to become extremely unaffordable. People are struggling financially. People are having to prioritize either their rent, groceries to some extent, their car insurance, car payments, whatever you call it, tuition, whatever you want to call it. It's not just the physical health that is really at a premium that we need, but it's also the mental health. Do you find your clients also talking to you about that? And what's some of the best recommendations you can give to your clients when it comes to our mental health? Because again, at the end of the day, very much like some people can't afford a trainer, they can maybe do it at home. They can't afford to go see a professional. And in a time when, again, mental health is such a premium as well, because it goes hand in hand, what are some of the recommendations maybe you give some of your clients when they come to you and say, hey, my physical health is important, but so is my mental?
Well, a lot of times, like therapy is very, very important. But again, and not everybody has that available to them. I do feel that meditating every morning at the start for about 5 to 10 minutes, I do 30, really sets my day straight. I actually have been pushing my mother to do it for so many years, and she finally got on the bandwagon, and she thanks me so much. It really changes the trajectory of your day. And when I go to sleep, I actually go to sleep saying grateful affirmations. So I say what I'm grateful for. Like, let's say you caught the subway when you were running late, or I'm grateful that like my favorite food was in this or that store. Or, I'm grateful for this moment I had with a stranger. All these things kind of help you along, allow you to appreciate what you have. And even though a lot of people are suffering with different things, right? We all have our things. If there's absolutely one thing that I would say is necessary, no matter what, it doesn't matter if you're happy or sad or you didn't sleep, whatever it is, the number one thing that I do to start my day every single day, even on vacation, is set aside 5 minutes to 30 minutes a day to do affirmations. I do like Jason Stevenson, I like Bob Baker, and I like a company called Lavender. So you can just, and if you have to just connect to the voices of these people, so that might not work for you. I like to just put in a little search, like let's say, I am nervous about a meeting, so I will put affirmations for success. I will click on that, and if I connect to that person's voice, then I know that it's gonna resonate with me when I repeat it back. And you'll be able to, over time, see how that changes your energy. Not even over time, like within 10 minutes, if you wake up in a sour mood and you do positive affirmations, you'll feel much lighter. But also, a lot of times we often forget how good we have it, that there are people that are starving or struggling in ways we can't even imagine. And if we're able to just say 10 things before we go to sleep at night, 10 things that we're grateful for, even something as simple as our nose or our ears or our vision, which we take for granted on those days where things didn't go just as we wanted, it will elevate you. And I feel like it'll also allow you to sleep more soundly.
Definitely great words to live by for sure. Shanit, before I let you go, we've gotten to know Shanit Bar, the celebrity fitness trainer. The overall humanitarian is obviously as I've gotten to know you as well, and certainly an upstanding member of the community. But let's just talk about Shanit Bar, the woman, right? The regular gal. So a quick lightning round here. I'm gonna just throw some questions at you, some terms, and whatever comes to you instinctually. Okay. So
Oh my God! Oh my God!
all right. So
You brought me
mean,
so much. Okay, okay.
now, I mean, again, I've gotten to know you a little bit, so I kind of know what to ask here. I'll sort of throw like this question because I do with all my guests. Are you a
Okay.
sports fan at all?
I like going to see sports live, but I don't have particular teams. Like if I go with someone, it's fun for me to root for a team. So
Sure.
if I go with someone and they like a team, then I enjoy going, but only live. I don't actually. I do love golf on TV for some reason. A random fact I just discovered.
Okay. So having said that, what specific sport do you like seeing live?
Football and hockey and boxing.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay. Cool.
I like
Listen.
contact sports. I like seeing strong people fight strong people, and I just like. I also love the crowd. Like the energy
Sure.
in the crowd is so infectious. It's amazing.
Now I have to ask you though. Again, this is me being the little maybe snobby academic in me, but are we talking about football, like the world game, or are we talking about American football?
Oh, I love soccer also. I guess I
Okay.
just, yeah, I do. I love football because I don't know, for some reason I feel like people look at a girl like me and they're like, wow, she's super girly. She doesn't like football. And I do. I like football. I think it's fun. I
And
think
listen,
it's
and let me tell
big
you,
watch running.
Sunday Fun Day for the ladies gets just as rowdy as it does for the guys
I know.
live
I
or
know.
at the bars. Take your pick on a Sunday Fun Day. Um,
Yes.
favorite favorite genre movies.
I love psychological thrillers.
Okay, favorite thriller.
Oh, oh God. No, I have to tell you my favorite movie of all time is not really a thriller, actually. So my favorite movie of all time is True Romance.
Okay, excellent. Now, if
High energy, high endorphins, but I like movies to have a balance. So
okay,
I like it to have romance and violence and like all the stuff that like kind of we can experience without
sure.
losing it, and we get to just pay other people to portray it and let us experience it from as bystanders.
Now you mentioned True Romance. Is that with Christian Slater? Refresh my memory.
It is.
Okay,
Kristen
cool.
Stewart, Richard Arquette, Christopher Walken, Dennis Hopper, you name it, everybody's been in it.
Okay. Obviously, I've gotten to know you. You're a chill, laid back girl. So I got to ask, Star Wars or Star Trek?
I'm not big on those.
Okay, fair enough. Favorite travel destination?
I have to say Tulum, although this is going to be my first year going to Ibiza. The first time I was in Tulum, I landed, and as soon as I got out of the taxi, there's something in the air and there's something in the soil that is just very spiritual. I think I connect to places like that where kind of there's a story to the soil. So
Okay.
I love that about Tulum, and I also obviously love that you can dance and have great food and the beautiful beaches. But there's a beautiful ancestral past
Sure.
to the earth there that I connect with very deeply.
Okay. Um, favorite music?
I love rock and roll, but I also love EDM now. I mean, I've gotten into EDM more and more in the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
But I'm a total rocker chick. I mean, Guns N' Roses, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, you name it, I'm into it.
Listen, I got to tell you, I grew up on the hair bands in the 80s. So when you talk about Cinderella, Bon Jovi, Rat,
All of it, all of
Twisted
it.
Sister, I grew up on all that great stuff. Def Leppard, my goodness. My iTunes is pretty diverse. You mentioned EDM. Favorite artist right now in the EDM world?
Oh God, it's so hard. I have to say I love Blondish, but I love Blondish, I love A Vision. There's a couple of underdogs that I may be forgetting because I've been put on the spot, but Vintage Culture, Solomon, amazing. Actually, I just got into there's an Italian DJ that I really love. His name is Matteo, And my friends, a couple of up and coming DJs, Haas, which is amazing, and Fireware, they really threw it down. I went to a party in Brooklyn a couple of weeks ago, and I usually, 3:30, 4 o'clock, I'm ready to go home. I stayed till after 5, and I had to force myself to leave because I like to have it all. I like to have the party, Shanit, and I also like to have that beautiful next day where I feel like a human. But it was like gloves were off. My friend Fireware threw it down, and he didn't stop till 6 a.m. I heard. I had to go at 5:15, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the music really it just hit, and I think it really just hit during COVID. I think that people were all like pent up, and as soon as we can go out and dance, people just wanted to go out and dance, and it brought communities together. It almost brought something like along the lines of like this like 60s like movement in which communities are coming together, all ages are coming together, and they're dancing, and they're just loving that connection. I think that that's beautiful that COVID was able to do that for us. I'm sorry I'm rambling, but I love music so much.
No. Listen, I love the specificity for sure. Favorite cuisine, and I hate to put you on the spot about it, but any favorite restaurants that you love going to regularly?
Yes. I am a big eater. No, nobody really thinks that. My favorite steak I love steak, so I love anything steak and anything potatoes. The best steak, one of the best steaks I've had in Manhattan is at a place on the Lower East Side called Wild Air.
Okay.
It's a very simple restaurant, but it is absolutely one of the best steaks I've had. And also, I love anything Don George, but a particular favorite restaurant of mine is in Alita, and it's called Madé.
Okay.
It is clean. It's got beautiful textures, beautiful flavors. I don't mind that heavy meal, but there's something to be said about a chef that could take you on a journey, like a beautiful journey, and then when you leave, you feel amazing, and that's what Cedric does. So yeah, the day is definitely up there for me.
Okay. Final question, and again, the only time, not even really political, but maybe just as a history fan, favorite American president?
Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
I'm not a very political person. I am happy that America is here, though.
Okay, fair enough. And actually, he's one of my favorite American presidents also, being
Look at that. So much in common.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So Shanit, again, before I let you go, I want to thank you for your time. This has been such an instructive and informative conversation about health and wellness, certainly about fitness, about really having a healthy diet, healthy practices, and everything else. Certainly, again, I can't thank you enough for your time. You've just provided a wealth of information for my audience. And again, for a podcast that's always so political and everything, I want to mix it up and give my audience something to think about when it comes to health and wellness. And again, not just about being summer ready, but about being life ready. I can't thank you enough for your time. I'll give you the last word here tonight on Real Talk.
The last word? You're too kind. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to me. This is the first time that I've ever been on a podcast, and I always felt like I had so much to share, and I felt that today I was able to share thanks to Fernando, and we were able to kind of showcase how important it is to live a balanced life. Balance doesn't mean that you have to be super restrictive. Balance doesn't mean that you can't have fun and you can't enjoy eating and you can't have a drink. But it's important to understand that part of being fit and healthy is to know what works for you. There's no one-stop shop. I can't tell you exactly what's going to work for you, but find your voice in your wellness journey, and take it seriously, because honestly, we only have this one body. And once you take those little steps to get to that next level where everything is balanced and you're doing these good nourishing things for your soul and body, life is so much more beautiful. Life is so much easier. It's easier to love. It's easier to give. It's easier to just look at the sunshine and enjoy your day. So I'm sending that to all of you. I'm sending you love, and I'm sending you light, and I'm sending you all this positivity so you can find that beautiful healing journey just as I did, and take it with you today.
I couldn't say it any better. Folks, she's Shanit Barr, celebrity fitness trainer, our guest tonight here on Real Talk. Look her up on Instagram. What's your Instagram real quick here, Shanit?
Shanit, SHANIT _ bottoms up fit.
All right. And for all the guys out there, again, it doesn't get any more lovely than Shanit Barr, our amazing celebrity fitness trainer, but more importantly, such a knowledgeable guest here on really topics that I think affect everyday people, folks. And that's what we talk about here on Real Talk, whether it's health and wellness, mental and physical health, everything else. You know what? It's good to have guests like Shanit Barr here tonight. Shanit, God bless you. And by the way, happy birthday. Shout out to your mom. I know celebrated over the weekend.
She's a girl.
Shout out to your lovely mom. I saw some pictures on your Instagram stories. My God, you know, it's obviously when it comes to good looks, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, folks. If you haven't checked it out, do that. Shout out to mama out there in Long Island. God bless her. To many, many more. Happy birthday to, and of course, you know, best wishes to you and your family. Obviously, we have some great holidays coming up. We have Easter. We also have Passover. And enjoy the upcoming warm weather. Enjoy the travels. And we'll keep in touch here. And again, Shanit, thank you for supporting Real Talk right here on Jersey First TV. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Folks, good stuff there with Shanit Barr. Again, renowned celebrity fitness trainer. And certainly a lot of great regimen here to talk about here on the program. Certainly, because folks, we're not just talking about politics, but we talk about everything that matters to you on a daily basis here on this program, whether it's health and wellness, quality of life, real estate, autism awareness. Again, April's obviously already tomorrow. We'll be talking about autism awareness during the month of April as well. You definitely want to stick around for that episode. It's definitely not to be missed. Folks, it's 6:56 here on the East Coast. And again, I bring the exclusives that nobody else does in Garden State Media. And you know what? Moving along from health and wellness, it's back to the gritty game of politics here in New Jersey, and it is an election season. We just went through a very exhausting election cycle in 2024, but there's no rest here in New Jersey. It's another election cycle here. We have a gubernatorial primary coming up on June the 10th. Certainly a lot of municipal races coming up this November, but also all 80 state assembly seats are up for grabs here in the Garden State. And of course, Democrats have had a control of the assembly along with the state Senate for more than 20 years. And presently right now in the state assembly, the deficit is a pretty large one. Democrats have 52 seats and Republicans have 28 seats. But you know what? Now's a good time as ever to sort of shave into that lead. And there's a lot of vulnerable Democrats in Bergen County, in Central and South Jersey. So maybe Republicans can do a little bit of a job of shaving into that majority there during this election cycle. And you know what? When we think about very competitive races, I think about the 36th legislative district. And why not talk to assembly candidates and guys who, let's be fair, are big fans of this show, and I'm a big fan of them, not just of the service to our country, but quite frankly, because they are candidates that are really invested in election 2025. Folks, they are Chris and Craig Auriemma. Join us live right now here on Real Talk. Gentlemen, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Good to see you on there. And again, folks, if you haven't done so already, please donate to Chris and Craig Auriemma's primary debate here, obviously, and their primary campaigns here on Real Talk, and of course, during this election season. Gentlemen, how's the campaign treating you right now?
Pretty good, thank God. You know, thank God we had built such a network that we were able to get the 400 signatures, like, you know, because they changed it, you know, obviously at a last minute, they changed it from 100 to 250, but everybody knows, you know, you have to get more than just, you know, the required amount. You have to go considerably up to make sure, you know, they're not able to challenge you. So fortunately, because we've always stayed involved, we were able to keep that network available. So when we needed those signatures, we were able to reach out and get them in a pretty timely manner.
Now, again, guys, you're going to have to forgive me because like the similarities are ridiculous here. I mean, you want to talk about like twin brothers here. My God. All right. Just raise your hand. Who's Chris and who's Craig here?
Chris.
All right. Craig.
Right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And again, I love you both for coming on the program, and certainly I'm happy to give you a platform because, again, guys, let's be fair. You know, the establishment media in New Jersey doesn't treat Republican candidates well in any
No.
capacity, whether they're running for governor, whether they're running for the state Senate, and in this case, in 2025, whether it's municipal races, and in your case, assembly races. So let's sort of delve into the 36th legislative district, obviously a part in Bergen County. And for our audience that maybe isn't aware, gentlemen, what are the townships that encompass LD 36?
We
So
have, yeah, Craig, good.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are 12 towns, starting with Passaic and Passaic County. The rest of the other 11 are in Bergen County. You have Lyndhurst, where we both live, North Arlington, Lyndhurst, Woodridge, East Rutherford, Fairview, Ridgefield, Wallington, Wallington,
Edgewater. Edgewater.
and what did I miss, Chris?
Karlstadt.
Oh, Carlstadt. Yes, Carlstadt.
Mm.
So Fernando, the big thing is this, right? Like, so we've run twice before, and the message that I want to get out to Republicans is, like, so we could have won either time. The problem that's been in the last, for a while now, is Republicans don't turn out to vote, right? We saw in the last election in 2023 that it was something like maybe 20% of the Republicans turned out. I mean, if that was 30%, which would still be really kind of shocking, right? Shockingly low. We would, right? And I guess it turns out that Democrats turnout is very low as well.
Sure.
But we're on the battlefront, right? As Republicans, right? The Democrats, they can be complacent. They, because they have the infrastructure and they're the ones giving out the jobs. I mean, look, everybody knows how this politics works. And one of the things that separates myself and my brother from a lot of the other people who are running for various things, like, you've been around politics long enough to know that everybody's running for whatever they can get, right? And myself and my brother, and I'll speak for myself, and he can for himself. But I don't want to run for anything else, right? Like, I want to run. I've run twice for this. I'm running a third time because this is where I feel I can do the most good. I have the ideas and the things that I want to implement happen at the state legislative level, right? So I mean, like, stuff I'm sure is very important in various towns. In our town, it's very important. There's a race, but this is where I think I can make a difference. There's so many things that are just being overlooked, and I'm going to go into that a little bit when you go through your questions. But I just wanted to make that aware, like the people that in the primaries. So we have a primary, and I just want to separate us from our primary challengers are. Like these, they've run for whatever they could run for. One was a school board, one city council, right? Like, and that's fine. God bless them. But it's like whatever they can get. I don't look at it that way, right? Like, I'm not doing this so I can get, get into
Title.
say. I want to make a difference,
Sure. Well, guys, and let's get into that. Obviously, it's a very diverse district, socioeconomically, certainly, and I think it's a district that Republicans have made some headway. And, to your point, Craig, before, I mean, I think Republicans do themselves such a disservice, really, I think, in, what I would argue is, turnout, like you mentioned, right? I think the idea that back in 2021, Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican nominee against Governor Phil Murphy, quite frankly, lost by 3 points. And, when you look at the data tells you, I mean, absolutely that turnout was abysmal. Only 39% of registered Republicans came out to vote. If even 50% of registered Republicans come out to vote, Jack Ciattarelli wins that race. Down the ballot, a lot of Republican Senate and Assembly candidates win those races too.
Yep.
It just seems like Republicans get very, very fickle because if it's not their candidate and that candidate doesn't check off every box, that'll alienate some people. People will stay home. And that's kind of like the bad feeling I'm getting in this gubernatorial primary, which we'll get to in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems like, listen, people are very tribal, whether they like Jack Ciattarelli, whether they like Bill Speedia, whether they like Mario Kranjik, whether they like John Bramnick. The point is that, again, come June 10th, whoever the Republican is,
Right.
okay, because I can tell you right now, Mikey Sherrill's winning the primary. So on June 11th, Republicans need to sort of get their shit together and say, listen, Mikey Sherrill's the nominee. They need to start, going after her platform, what she stands for, because let's be very fair, it could be just a third Phil Murphy term should Mikey Sherrill be victorious in November. But again, we'll get to the gubernatorial race in a minute. But for your races specifically, though, gentlemen, and I'll ask you, Chris, what are some steps I think that are going to be necessary about knocking on doors, talking to people, and just saying, hey, listen, it's a primary. Sometimes turnout isn't great. You can't afford to sit this out. What are you telling people, Chris?
Well, I can tell you that we've been, we stayed involved. So a lot of people, are engaged, especially with the Tesla stuff, especially with Trump winning our district. That has definitely enhanced our, the turnout, I believe, this year. But I could tell you, so one of the things that I would love to see more of, I had talked to our opponents, and I had said, look, we're not going to talk about you guys. We're going to focus on Clinton Calabrese and Gary Scheer, and that's what I've been doing. I've already been attaching, the two or three new gas taxes that they've done over the last few years, the energy spike that's going to happen in June. I've been attaching everything to them, all the school closures, everything that they've allowed Phil Murphy to do. I think we'd be better served to start attacking our, the Democrats. Let's stop attacking each other because there's too much of that, right? There's too much where they're spending so much money to attack each other. All you're doing is giving fodder for the Democrats to use in the general. Why not spend this money to attack all the Democrats and Phil Murphy and attach them to Phil Murphy and his radical policies? Because too many Democrats especially in our district, a lot of Democrats are old school JFK Democrats. So they're very moderate to conservative. They're right leaning Democrats, most of them, and so I think if we started attaching the Democrats to those policies, then come the general, these people already have established who they are, right? And then we can just finish off and get them to come to our side, and as far as getting out the base, I think the base is energized. I think it's going to be energized this June. We've been, like I said, we've been staying involved, we went to that Tesla dealership and, we put together rallies. So we have a big base of people that I think will stay engaged this year.
Without a doubt. And let me just make sure I get your brother on here.
All right, yeah.
Greg, if you can't take off the hat, man, the shadow's it's bothered. Yep, you got to take up. Yep, that's much better. Absolutely, much better. Thank you. Sorry. So, Greg, based on what your brother just said, I think it's really imperative during this cycle where Democrats, I think, Democrats are polling at record lows on a national level. And I think even statewide, what we're seeing is after, and it's sort of interesting because what do all the Democrat candidates for governor have in common? They're all talking about, hey, we need to make New Jersey more affordable. We need to make sure we're spending less. So basically what they're saying without saying it is we can't be Phil Murphy, right? They're not going to throw their fellow Democrat under the bus, but essentially they're not fooling anybody because whether it's the former mayor of Montclair, who's the current president of the NGEA, or members of the House of Representatives, or former state senators, or current mayors, they're kind of saying the quiet part out loud. Yes, New Jersey's unaffordable. No shit. Well, why is it unaffordable? And I think it's easy. Listen, they don't want to throw Phil Murphy under the bus and ostracize him. Certainly, they're going to need his support at some point as the sitting governor. But it just seems like that messaging isn't resonating because I think Republicans, independents alike, look at this race and say, we have the highest property taxes in the country. They just went up again. It's over $10,000. Okay. The gas tax just went through its final phase on December the 1st. And even though gas has gone down, gentlemen, right now at somewhere, let's say 280, we're still spending 57 cents more per gallon because of the gas tax. And supposedly it's supposed to go to the Transportation Trust Fund. Well, what transportation am I trusting? Because I'll tell you right now, the roads suck in New Jersey as much as they ever have.
Yep.
AAA has ranked New Jersey roads at the bottom of the country. Okay. We're seeing tolls continue to increase on the Parkway, on the Turnpike. Again, the summer's coming. People want to go down the shore. People want to go to Cape May. People want to go wherever, down into Central South Jersey. It's becoming almost unaffordable to live in New Jersey. And Democrats are like running on this notch where somehow it's Donald Trump's fault that Democrats have had control of Trenton in the legislature for over 20 years. Somehow Donald Trump has made your property taxes go up. Somehow Donald Trump and Republicans who've had no control in the legislature back to when, like, I think I had more hair, for God's sakes, on my head. Really, it just seems like it's as ripe as ever for Republicans to really steal in the state assembly. Is that fair to say, gentlemen?
Absolutely. And you know what? One of the things I've been discussing with Chris is, I think a message that the Republican Party. Well, one of the things we're starting, that I had started a page and we're in the process of developing it, is it's called Save Our Suburbs. And you know, so there's so much ignorance out there in the way that the way the system works, right? We could, you know, so you're hearing all this stuff about, and we live in a suburb, Lyndhurst, and in a lot of the suburbs, people are afraid of having apartments, right? Many of the people that live in these suburbs are people like myself and Chris. We're from Hudson County. We're from the city, and you move to the suburb to get, you know, to get away from that grind, from that congestion. And I, you know, I know you're from Hudson County as well, and North Bergen, you know, I mean, Jersey City, Hoboken, it's terrible getting around, right? So, you know, the thing is that people have to understand there is a way to stop those state mandate. It's not a law, right? The Supreme Court made a decision, but with the right people in the assembly and the right governor, we could change that. We could say, hey, you know what? And that will resonate, right? If Republicans get on board with this message of saying, hey, let's save our suburbs. Let's make a law saying towns can decide what kind of buildings they want, and if they want apartments. And you know, the state is throwing all this stuff saying, oh, well, and I don't even know where these numbers come from. Well, we know where the numbers come from. They come from builders who have a vested interest in building, right? I mean, this is what they do. I do commercial real estate, but focusing on industrial and warehousing. You know, so I get it, right? People, you know, this is what they do. They make money. But is that the people who should be telling them, oh, Lyndhurst, which is a nice, quiet little suburb, should have 500 more units, 1,000 more units, more, you know, who's going to pay for the schools? Who's going to pay for the police, the fire? You know, who's going to pay for all this stuff, right? The state's not going to give us. They're going to say to the cities, hey, figure it out. So Republicans, we have to send a message to everybody. And one of the things I've developed with Chris is to say to the Democrats, you can't afford to keep voting Democrat, right? Like you, and that sends a message that people are starting to get that Democrats are not the party for the poor anymore, you know?
And guys, it's interesting again. And again, folks, if you just joined us live right now, click on the subscribe button and it takes a few seconds. Like, comment, and share tonight's episode as the second half of tonight's gigantic double main event. It's the Brothers of Justice, folks. LD 36 candidates for the state assembly. Chris and Craig Auriemma join us live here on Real Talk. Folks, again, share on all your social media platforms and make sure, obviously, you support the Auriemma brothers coming up on the June 10th primary for the Republican Party in the 36th legislative district. And again, if you're not familiar with it, I know the gentleman mentioned it before, certainly municipalities in Bergen County, which include Carlstadt, Cliffside Park, East Rutherford, Edgewater, Lyndhurst, North Arlington, Richfield, Rutherford, Wallington, and Woodridge. And the reason I bring up this town is because it's very significant. The city of Passaic in Passaic County. Donald Trump won that city and that county decisively last November, guys. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, if the NJGOP and maybe the national GOP maybe just invested $1 million in Billy Prempe's race, I mean, he would have won that. He lost by about 1.5 to Nellie Poe, former state senator in the state legislature. So I'm sure Billy's already announced he's running in 26. I wish him the best of luck there. But Passaic really, I think, is a good example of a town that has been Democrat rule for decades. Maybe as far back as George H.W. Bush being president, for God's sakes, But again, Donald Trump came close last November within 5 points of flipping the state red, again, for the first time since 1988 under George H.W. Bush. And certainly that enthusiasm, I think many Republicans are hoping, carries over into 2025. As you do go door to door, gentlemen, and you're talking to residents, you're going, again, the weather's getting a little bit warmer. Maybe you go to some food festivals, some music festivals, town halls, whatever. Chris, what are you hearing about the buzz on the street in the 36th legislative district about, hey, Republicans can build on this momentum from November, but take enthusiasm, or is it really going to take using social media, voting early, vote by mail? What are you telling people when you're going door to door, Chris?
Well, I can tell you that so many different groups of people that were never even interested in the Republican Party are now actively talking to us and reaching out to us, and we're building bigger networks. Like we're talking to people in Muslims in Cliffside Park, Dominicans in Passaic, so many different groups now, because the other side has gone so far left that they're considering the Republicans for the first time, because they see that they're voting against their own interests, and they're starting to see that we're the normal people. The other side, especially when you look at a Clinton Calabrese, who was the sponsor for all those gas tax bills. He was a sponsor for all those gas tax bills. And the other reason why you're seeing the property taxes go up recently is because they voted a law last year to essentially remove the caps so long as it's for school, right, funding, which is ridiculous, because most of your property tax go towards school funding. So they have essentially just eliminated the caps, and that's why everybody's seeing assessments, and everybody knows, the boogeyman of Republicans, it's starting to wear off. They're starting to see which Republican are you talking about? When have they had power? Chris Christie's been gone for 8 years now. Like, what are you talking about? They've had total power for, the last 8 years, and even, legislatively, they had total power for the last 20 years. So a lot of the fervor is on our side, because it's just gotten so bad. And like Craig has said, what have you got to lose? That's the thing we're talking to Democrats. You've tried this for so long. What are you going to do now? You're going to insanity, right? You're going to keep doing that same thing. You're going to expect different results. You're not going to get them. And people are starting to, and I think me and Craig, when we're out there, I think people like that we're just regular people. We talk plainly. We don't coach our words. We don't say things like folks, and all the ubiquitous political, garbage that nobody believes. It seems so phony, and that's why people don't like that. I think most people, when they meet me and my brother, they like the fact that we are, in fact, just genuine people that we're just talking and telling. You ask us a question, we're going to tell you how we feel.
And Craig, what's interesting too, just to sort of piggyback on what your brother said, is again, it's an environment ripe for Democrats to get picked off here. I mean, there's a lot of vulnerable Democrats. Your district is one of them. Certainly Central and South Jersey, there's a lot of Democrats, establishment Democrats, that have made us, again, have done away with plastic bags in our supermarkets, that have, again, voted to allocate taxpayer dollars to provide a legal fund for illegals to challenge their deportations. Obviously, going back to January of 2018, Phil Murphy declared New Jersey a sanctuary state via executive order. They haven't codified it yet, but I think in a year where there's a lot of vulnerable Democrats, we're having our utility bills going up in June. I think now is a good time as ever, though, Craig, for Democrats to either look themselves in the mirror and say, wait a minute, we're on the precipice of getting ousted. And again, listen, it might be a very bold and ambitious type of effort here in 2025, but Republicans can really shave into that majority that Democrats have, so much so that by the time 2027 comes around, that majority might actually go red for the first time. Let's be honest. I think since Bill Clinton was in office, for God's sakes, that's how far back we're going here. Craig, what would you say probably in the district right now? Obviously, we've talked about, again, property taxes, spending, it's budget season, right? So the legislature is meeting almost every day to address the budget, which, again, folks, if you're not familiar, under state law, the Constitution of the state of New Jersey mandates that a budget has to be signed by 11:59 p.m. on June 30th. If it is not, then at 12:01 a.m. on July the 1st, the state can't shut down. We've had that happen a couple of times under John Corzine in 2006 and in 2017 under Chris Christie. It seems like Democrats and Phil Murphy have kind of gone right up to the buzzer and have avoided a shutdown. But, this year, the governor Camille is telling people in Trenton, like, well, we need to save money. We need to have a hiring freeze. We need to cut back on spending. Language we never heard for 8 years, but it seems like Democrats now are being forced to sort of address this. And Craig, when we think about what I just mentioned, what are the issues are pending in the 36th legislative district?
Oh, one of the things my brother just talked was mentioning Clinton Calabrese in particular. He is proposing legislation to make all trucks electric. Now, people have to understand how insane that will be. You talk about inflation, people have no idea how bad things will get, right? Like I said before, I work in industrial real estate. And I can tell you right now, there isn't a trucking company out there that can afford to do that, number one, right? Well, you can ease into it, right? Okay, but it's not just buying electric trucks. It's buying electric chargers, power, right? Everything. And where does that? And let's say we do get to a point where 10%, 20% are electric, right? One, there is no proof that does any good. But two, I can guarantee you that cost will go on to the consumers, right? So it goes back to what I said before, telling Democrats, you can't afford to keep voting Democrat. They're going to destroy your lives, right? One of the things about I've mentioned to various assemblymen that I've spoken to is what I'd like to do is an audit of the welfare system in New Jersey, right? Before there was Doge, 10 years ago, I was saying, hey, why don't we audit people not citizens getting public assistance? We know that they are, right? We know that they're getting, not only are they getting public assistance, they're getting better treatment than we are. They're getting their gas and electric paid. They're getting transportation, Section 8, right? Like, I mean, and that's the thing. Stop. Like, nobody's saying that some people need public assistance, of course, but should it be for non-citizens? I don't think so, right? And to me that becomes low-hanging fruit. That's an easy grab. We can say, okay, slash that, right? Make it a constitutional amendment that says only U.S. citizens apply or be entitled to, public assistance benefits, and then and that savings will grow drastically, right? Like, once we start cutting that out, then we can put that money towards things that to paying down our debt, and making New Jersey more affordable, right? And that all comes down to spending.
Gentlemen, let me ask you this, because where I live in Hudson County, certainly it's as blue as Windex, and there's actually a civil war here among Democrats, and assembly races actually have primaries. All three legislative districts in Hudson County, 31, 32, and 33, have contested primaries on the Democrat side. In your district, though, for the Republicans, are you in a primary type of situation, or are you the only established or declared Republicans on the ballot coming up on June 10th?
No, we're in a primary. We have two, Chris Musto and Diane DiBiase we're in a primary. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think it says, right. Like, so for the last two times me and Chris ran unopposed, but, and nobody wanted to do it. Right. And they just said, oh, everybody was holding us on their shoulders. Oh, thank God you want to do it. Right. But now that Trump did so well, right now, people are like, oh, wait a minute. Now maybe we could win. Now we have a primary. It's like, all right, so, and we're not worried about We have the name recognition in the district. We've been out there. We've led rallies. Trump. Everybody knows who the true, Republicans, conservatives are, right?
Sure.
And it's Chris and I, right? You can go through our pages and you'll be like, you'll see nothing but Republican conservatism, right? There's no faking here.
Well, guys, it sort of begs the question then, in a primary that's contested, let's say in your situation, are we seeing any traction with the NJGOP? And again, and folks, for everyone at home, if you're just tuning in right now, it's 7:26 here on the East Coast. Don't go anywhere. Right now, live joining me are the brothers of justice, Chris and Craig Auriemma. LD36 Assembly candidates are my guests right now, live here on Real Talk. Folks, like, comment, and share tonight's episode. It takes 5 seconds to do, and you can show your support for Real Talk here on the Jersey First Television Network. Now, guys, I think because we've talked off the air. You've seen me at your events when I've been able to attend, and I always do appreciate the invitations. I think that I am not a fan in many instances of the NJGOP. I think in situations where, they can help candidates, they don't. They don't often raise money. Again, case in point, look at Billy Prempe last November. And I don't even blame the national GOP. I mean, it's really up to the NJGOP to really bitch and moan if they have to at the national level and say, hey, listen, if you just throw us $1 million in this race, this guy can win. And again, he came within a percentage point of beating an establishment Democrat who, let's be honest, when we think about property taxes have gone up in recent years, it was her. About the gas tax, about tolls, about the idea of coddling illegals, taking taxpayer dollars from the budget and donating it to left-wing organizations, downright trash. I mean, I don't have enough fingers and toes to name some of the awful decisions some of the establishment Democrats in Trenton have made, but it just seems like the NJGOP, again, with some momentum, can get out of its own way. Are you getting any help or assistance from the NJGOP, or are you guys just lone wolves in this campaign?
We're actually just the lone wolves in this. For whatever reason, the establishment is, in some of the towns. I mean, I got to tell you, a primary definitely kind of shows you who your friends are, right? You're seeing so many of the establishment people that we considered friends turned out no, it was politics. People. So they've kind of abandoned us. I assume that they actually did not believe we would get the petition signed. But the thing that the establishment doesn't understand is we've stayed involved, we've stayed engaged, and by doing so, we've built a network of people that's pretty substantial. I mean, you look at my Facebook page and some of my other platforms. My Facebook page is at 32,000 followers, and the traffic is 3 million. So that's why, I believe in this primary we're gonna do pretty well because we have the name recognition. I'm always out there. Plus, in terms of hard work, that's the one thing that even the establishment rhinos will tell you in our area, that me and Craig are the workers. Nobody's gonna outwork me and my brother. It is what it is. And we've already started. I've hit at least 2 towns already, like almost blanketed completely those 2 towns, and we're going to hit all 12 towns with our literature. And we bought a texting package. So, and we're very efficient with the money because we understand that the money's not going to come in like it typically does. So, like after our one fundraiser, we bought a texting package, and we've sent out about 300,000 texts already. So we've been engaged. We have established ourselves, and I think and again, I would say, the heat from now till November should be on the Democrats. Everything, because you can't you can't blame Republicans. There aren't ones to blame. If you say this area is, and I could tell you, as my brother was saying before, what as you asked before was, one of the major issues, especially in these towns around us, is the overdevelopment issue. I mean, you're seeing Democrats in Rutherford that are getting sick and they're getting fed up with it. Democrats here in Lyndhurst, Carlstadt, Woodridge, you're seeing it all over the place, that they're ready to kick them to the curb. I believe East Rutherford is we're going to see 2 flip right there this year.
Well, and speaking of the like I said, the saving our suburbs, so the Rhino line now, right, is, oh well, rather than saying, hey, we could stop them, we could push back, we don't need to just have thousands of apartments in little suburbs that don't have the infrastructure, right? What they're saying is, well, we need the right development, right? Like, what does that mean, right? Like, everybody knows apartments are apartments, right? And it's so much lies when it comes to apartments, right? Like, people say affordable housing, right? Okay, but that doesn't mean low income, right? Just means more apartments, right? And when you hear low income or affordable housing or housing crisis, all that means is that they need to have more apartments for New Yorkers to come over to New Jersey, right? And this, everybody knows that this is what's happening, right? And it makes sense for them, right? Instead of paying $5,000 for a fourth floor walk up in New York City, right? You could pay $2,500, $2,800 for a 2-bedroom on the 13th floor of a beautiful high rise with a pool, a gym, parking, everything, right? Public transportation gets you to New York City in 5 minutes, right? So it's all nonsense, right? This is not helping the poor, right? Because it's going to become like Hoboken, right? Like, people from Hudson County, we know how it is, right? Union City, okay, maybe you can find a decent apartment, 1 bedroom for $1,700 if you're lucky, right? But so that's what we have to establish, that there is no right development for a small town. Small town doesn't need lots of apartments. They don't have schools, right? If you want to have lots of apartments, go live in the city. There's plenty of them in New Jersey, right? Look at Jersey City. I mean, Jersey City, you can't tell the difference between Jersey City and New York City, right, anymore, right? And that's fine. The people of Jersey City don't mind. There's no protests. Nobody cares. Push the apartments to the cities. Let them have it. But leave the suburbs, because people want a nice, quiet town.
No, absolutely. And listen, I couldn't have said it any better. Again, as I wanted to segue to that topic about overdevelopment, it really is such a pervasive problem, not just where I live in Hudson County, but everywhere, all 21 counties in New Jersey, where, I mean, listen, there was a time where, I live in Hudson County. I walk 2 blocks. I look at Manhattan. I get it. I'm paying for location. Okay. I'm a block away from a light rail. Gets me to Hoboken in about 7 minutes. I can jump on a train and be in Manhattan in like another 10 minutes. So I get it. I'm paying for location. So for many years, what were we learning? Okay, well, development on the waterfront, people moving up a little bit north into Southern Bergen County, Western Bergen County, Morris, Essex, Passaic. And now the point is, you're seeing these high rental condos everywhere, all as far south as Piscataway and Perth Amboy, all the way out to like Morristown and Parsippany, to your point, Lyndhurst, to Wallington, right off of 17, right off of Route 21. It's really, I think, becoming so overwhelming for New Jerseyans or to stay here. And I always love when I hear, well, New Jersey is a state that people aren't leaving. No, they are. And sooner or later, just like New York and California, because of the census, people are voting with their feet. It remains a matter of time that people in New Jersey are going to vote with their feet also, to where, listen, our 14 electoral votes have been pretty solid in New Jersey for about 20 years. That might change soon when people have to leave the state because it is unaffordable. When you're talking to residents on the campaign trail, again, one thing is rhetoric, guys, but one thing is, being realistic and practical. What do you feel confident about doing in Trenton? And I'm rooting for you guys, there's no question. What do you feel you can do on January the 1st, 2026, when you take the oath of office and you're sitting in the state assembly? Realistically, what do you think you can introduce on the floor of the state assembly to combat all of these problems for New Jersey residents?
The first day I will propose a bill that says Let Towns Decide Act, right? Because that's what really has to happen. And in that bill, it has to fix the problem with what they call builder's remedy and all these other legal tricks that they use to force towns to overdevelop. Because they'll say, and what it will do is it will supersede the Supreme Court and the judicial decision that's been mandating these percentages, right? So say that we owe, 400 units, they're saying in Lyndhurst, right? When that bill is passed, towns will, like ours, will say, no, we don't. We'll build if we want to build. If the constituents want more apartments, that will be done at the local level, which I don't think it will. But and again, it doing that will also allow towns like Jersey City and Newark to develop as they see fit. If they want to overdevelop as they've chosen, your town, if North Bergen wants to keep building high rises, everybody wins. But I'll tell you what, I don't, and I believe you'll get a lot of bipartisan support on that, because you got to understand, especially in Bergen County and in South and a lot of parts of South Jersey, a lot of those districts have a lot of small towns that will that vote Democrat, but if they vote against that or vote for overdevelopment, they know their goose is cooked.
And,
That
and
that
one thing, Chris, if I could jump in, so the argument for you need apartments, right, is goes back to Mount Laurel, and of course, Laurel was at a time when there was redlining, right? But you can look at again, two guys from Hoboken, right, former Jersey City firemen, right, grew up in Hoboken, not so nice, but way more diverse, right? So the argument is that we need more apartments because Mount Laurel said that you were redlining, but we see in Hoboken, downtown Jersey City, North Bergen, right? These places were incredibly diverse 25 years ago, and now they are becoming completely white. Hoboken has never been less diverse in my lifetime, right? Downtown Jersey City is infinitely less diverse. So we have to turn that argument back around on them and say, wait a minute, right? What is it you want? Do you want apartments for New Yorkers, or are you trying to stop, to make the areas more diverse? Because right now we know that when you create these apartments, it brings in more or less diversity, right? And so we have to turn that argument back on them and say, no, you know what? Let these towns stay the way they are, right? Plenty of these towns are small, like you said. That we have to make the argument about the infrastructure. You're not going to pay for the infrastructure. You're not going to pay for the water, the sewer, the electric, the schools, the post office, the postman, all these different things. Like the builder's remedy and the court and the Democrats in particular, right, who only care about getting more votes. That's it. And that's what we have to send the message. You only care about getting votes. That says with diversity, because like I said, everywhere you bring in more apartments, they become far less diverse.
and just also one last thing, like you were talking about, because of I think the other reason why they're forcing this overdevelopment is because they know there's been such out migration in New Jersey that we might lose a seat because of in the next census. When the next census comes down, we lose 700,000. That's it. We lose a congressional district, and that's not something that because you got to remember, they they look at the whole electoral map for the whole country, and they know they can't afford to lose. Especially right now, you look at the House. It's a 2 or 3 seat majority. They understand a loss of a seat here or 2 seats, right? Say Billy takes his seat and we lose a seat, maybe a blue seat. That changes the whole dynamic of the House for the next 10 years. So this is why this is so important. And they are, I mean, you look at with so many people that are self-deporting at this point because they understand that the rules are being applied, and not overlooked anymore. So, like I know a person who owns hundreds of units in Passaic, and he's told me he's lost a good 30% of his tenants. They've just left. And I said, oh, well, probably the majority of them were here illegally. He said, yeah, because they don't want to face, especially obviously as you're seeing, in El Salvador,
Sure.
they're worried that they're going to end up in that prison. So, like from across this country, you're probably seeing hundreds of thousands that are just self migrating, out, back home. And I think you might see thousands in New Jersey that do that, and they're terrified with that. Plus the people who just all the people who can't afford to retire here. This is not a place you can afford to retire. You could see, a huge deficit from the last census.
No, absolutely. And I think it's definitely a dynamic to look out for. Again, we're halfway through the new decade, and certainly, with massive migration out of the state, again, affordability, I would argue, is the biggest kryptonite I think the Democrats in Trenton have to face during this election cycle. Not just, at the assembly races, obviously, that you guys are running, but certainly the gubernatorial race. And speaking of that, I really want to pick your brain about this. I know you're not the type of guys to endorse, but looking at the gubernatorial race right now, again, I would argue that, and again, you didn't hear this from me, but, in my infinite wisdom, I would think with 6 candidates on the Democrat side, someone like a Mikey Sherrill can probably win 18% of the vote, and that's all she needs. On the Republican side, obviously, we've learned former state senator Ed Durr dropped out of the race. He went on to endorse Bill Spadea. Obviously, after the signatures were collected by the due date for ELEC, we still have 4 candidates. We have former Inglewood Cliffs Mayor Mario Kronjek. We have another gentleman who, again, my apologies, the name escapes me, but we still have also as well State Senator John Bramnick. We have a radio personality, Bill Spadea, and certainly former state assemblyman and candidate himself, Jack Ciattarelli. How do you see this race on the Republican side, guys? First you, Chris, and then Craig.
I'll tell you what, I think it really depends. Like, see, so the establishment, if they establish like all the a lot of the county committees and they're endorsing and they'll push those people out in the primaries. But I'll tell you what, I think the MAGA base might go a different way. And then, you got the third person. I think Brannick, Brannick, I don't know. I think I don't think he's going to do very well at all in the primaries. I think most people I don't even understand why he has so much money, but apparently he does, because I've gotten 3 or 4 of his mailers, which God only knows how much that costs. But I think look, I'll tell you this. As you said, we don't want to endorse anyone in particular because the repercussions. They then they'll endorse our opponents, and it just we got to run our own race without interference from the outside. So it's a tough one, but I think the conservatives, especially I can speak for our district. I think the MAGA base is going to come out and they're going to vote a certain way, and
Okay.
and that could affect at least South Bergen anyway.
All right. Craig, how do you see it?
So, yeah, I mean, like Chris said, we have to be careful, obviously, because, I mean, look, we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. However, I will say this, right, and this is just not based on my opinion, but what I've seen, and I'm seeing the same thing. It's pretty much come down to the consensus that I'm hearing, down to Ciattarelli and Spadea, right? Like that's, if there was a percentage, it would be like, I don't know, 50-something percent Ciattarelli, maybe, 40-something percent Ciattarelli, and then, like give or take anywhere from 5 to 8% whoever, right? So it's pretty much those 2 guys, right? So then, people have to look at, and I think what's going to, hurt or help either one of them, obviously, whoever, if Trump does endorse one of them, then I think it's over for the other. Whoever gets the endorsement, obviously, everybody knows that's the person who's going to win. But then you have to look at and I would say for people, right, I don't want to try to push anybody in either way, but I would say, look at the organizations that you trust, right? The real conservative organizations, the real Republican organizations. There's a million of them on Facebook, right? There's, so look and see who, go onto those pages, see what people have to say about both, if you don't know either of them. Chris and I know both of them, fairly well. And we, I think they're both very nice guys. They're both excellent speakers. Spadea was a Marine. And Chris and I are both, career, lifers in the service. Chris was 23 years. I was 22. So I think that it's pretty much down to those two guys. And I think people, I would suggest either way, come out for whoever you're going to vote for. Just make sure you come out. I would say, look, don't expect the other guy to vote. Don't tell me as a Republican voter, oh, well, I had to work. I had to listen. You're the problem. If you're watching this, or if you're on any of those conservative pages, and you didn't vote, then you're the problem, right? And God bless you, right? Because we can't win because of you.
No. Fair enough. Well said, gentlemen. Before I let you guys go, I know you've had a long day. Obviously, I'm sure you still want a phone bank and send out some text, of course. But before I let you go, I mean, we've gotten to know the brothers of justice here, Chris and Craig Auriemma, the LD36 assembly candidates here on the show. But let's get to know, maybe our audience doesn't know, Chris and Craig, the guys, the regular everyday men here in New Jersey politics. So quick lightning round. I'll go, obviously, we'll start with Chris and Craig. Obviously, Chris and then Craig, obviously, for each question. So quick lightning round, and let's get to know Chris and Craig Auriemma, the LD36 candidates for the state assembly in 2025. I think you're both sports fans, so favorite baseball team?
Yankees.
Yeah, they're the Mets.
Oh, wow. That must be a very interesting dynamic during the Subway Series there. With,
I haven't followed baseball in many years, but I followed it more. I was a Mets fan.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, good.
Listen,
honest with you, just to be different.
Sure, no, and listen, Chris, we're off to a nice start, but there's 162 games. Let's wait and see, right?
That's right. Let's see.
NFL team.
I would say the Jets.
I have said when I've always liked Pittsburgh for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, as you know, obviously you see my social media. Devoted member of Cowboys Nation here, so it's always a home game.
Right.
It's always a home game here at MetLife every year for the Cowboys, and actually I'm really happy because the Cowboys play the Jets and the Giants this year in MetLife, so I'm looking forward to
nice.
My dad's a diehard Jet fan. When he immigrated here from Colombia in 1968, all he knew was Joe Namath, and since then he's been loyal ever since. So, it's always interesting dynamics in the Uribe family for sure, with the Jets and Giants and Cowboys for sure. NBA.
I haven't followed in so many years. I used to be a Nets fan because I used to take my son to all the games. So I used to be a Nets fan.
I used to be more of a Knicks fan.
Okay.
But again, just like Chris, I haven't followed in many years.
Okay, big Laker fan here. Obviously, as you can see behind me, Luka Nation here, as you see behind me there.
Well,
NHL.
Well, just to go to sports, and just I guess to make it a little political.
Sure.
When they started doing the kneeling thing, I just got turned off to pretty
much.
Can't do this. Can't watch.
Yeah. NHL. I never got into hockey. I got to be honest.
How many kids in Hudson County? I mean, I've been to a couple Devils games, and I thought it was fun. But if I had to, I'd say the Devils.
Same here. I'm a big Devil fan. I think for my money, there isn't a more affordable, enjoyable live sporting event to go to than hockey. And I love hockey. It's rocking at Prudential Center. I love wearing my Devils gear, and really, really enjoyable. Again, I'm one of the few Latinos that loves hockey. Drives me crazy.
Yeah, right.
Now, we're guys, I'm not sure this will apply to you, but I'll ask it anyway. Marvel or DC Comics movies?
Oh,
Marvel.
Okay. Having said that, I'm a Marvel guy as well. Favorite Marvel character?
Doctor Strange, probably. Or Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer.
Like Silver Surfer and, of course, the Hulk.
Okay. I'm a Tony Stark guy. Long before Airbnb ever existed, Tony Stark had the first Airbnb when he made the Avengers facility where everybody got to live at for free, basically. So
that's right.
Long before Airbnb, Tony Stark was ahead of his time. Certainly, favorite cuisine and restaurants you like to go to in LD36?
Oh, wow. There's so many good places. We like Mr. G's. We like Mr. G's. It's just a diner, and it's just got basic food, and I don't know. I like all their food that they have there.
Yeah, Lyndhurst. It's in Lyndhurst. I've been to the Stack. And like we love breakfast. We we go out a lot. We do breakfast with him, my daughter, and his son. But for dinner, there's a lot of really good places in Lyndhurst.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Vinny Mutz. I don't know if you've ever been there. The guy's phenomenal. The
His
sandwiches.
Mutz is better than Hoboken's.
Yeah. Have you been to Vinny Mutz over on Valley Brook in Lyndhurst?
I have not, but I'll tell you, to your point about Valley Brook Avenue and also just Ridge Road, there's so many great restaurants along Lyndhurst, North Arlington. It's such a rich area, not just in
Hmm.
the sense of cuisine, but also I think just the quiet suburban serenity. That really can't be
Yeah.
appreciated enough how quiet and peaceful it is to live in that area. And again, you're spoiled with good food there, so that's for sure. Last question: favorite American president and why?
Well, George Washington, of course, because we wouldn't have a country if it wasn't for him, and just the stories about him. Getting shot off his horse. I mean, his horse shot up. The guy was supernatural.
Yeah, not to piggyback on my brother. You see, obviously, we have different ideas many times, but I have to say George Washington too. I mean, there was nobody like him. Leaving after 2 terms.
Yeah,
Really, it was just amazing. Put his life on the line, a soldier.
correct.
How many presidents were soldiers?
Yeah. Well,
So
again, there's a reason he's the first president, and he's the first president on Mount Rushmore. And I think when you think about
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore, you got to think about General George Washington and everything that he contributed to our republic here. Guys,
Roosevelt.
Well,
again, I can't thank you enough. I really
of
appreciate you take the time to come on this program. I'm
course. Thank you for having us.
always a fan of you guys. I'm pulling for you. I'm rooting for you. I'll certainly talk to you during the campaign season after the primary. I'm
Yep.
very confident you guys are going to get across the finish line on June the 10th. And of course, on June 11th, you have to get back to work and get to winning in November. But again, before I let you go, any important social media links, websites, and I'll give you the last word here tonight on Real Talk.
You can follow us on Vote Column 2, November 7th. Facebook just won't let me change the name. That's our big page that has 32,000 followers. And, big thing is Republicans just have to get out and vote. This June 10th, where there's 10 days of early voting, get out to vote. We can't leave anything on the table this year.
Yeah, I agree with Chris. Again, talk to your family and friends. Make sure that they all vote. It's great you get out to vote. If you have any friends or family, older people, make sure they get their vote in. Pick them up if you have to, and really understand that this is what I've been saying to people. Listen, Chris and I, our motto is veterans and firefighters fighting for you, and we're going to go to Trenton and fight for you. And all we ask is that you vote. Right? It's not a lot, right? And just make sure that people understand it's not a lot to ask to take a few minutes to go and vote. That's all we're asking.
I couldn't have said any better. Folks, they are the brothers of justice, Chris and Craig Auriemma. They're our guests tonight here on Real Talk. Gentlemen, best of luck to you. Happy Father's Day coming up. Happy Easter. And certainly,
Can I say one thing?
sure, yeah.
Tomorrow night we have a Christian flag raising. Real quick, I know in your town, your mayor, we actually flew it there as well. Any town that flies flags, other than the American flag, you can force that town, not force, but you can ask that town, and they have to do it. They have to, especially for this Easter, fly a Christian flag. It's so beautiful because revival is really the only way we're going to save this country.
You know what? You guys said it perfectly. Ladies and gentlemen, they are Chris and Craig Auriemma, state assembly candidates in the 36th legislative district over in Bergen County. Folks, you have choices coming up on June the 10th. Here's two good ones. Make sure you vote on primary day coming up. And again, gentlemen, I thank you for supporting my broadcast and my brand of journalism. God bless you both, and we'll talk to you again soon here.
God bless you.
Talk.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Folks, good stuff there with Chris and Craig Auriemma, candidates running in the 36th Legislative District here in New Jersey. Again, folks, coming up on June the 10th, a very crowded primary field in a lot of legislative districts. And of course, in the 36th, you have choices, folks. Chris and Craig, pretty good ones. So do that coming up on June the 10th. Folks, it's 7:57 on the East Coast. We've had a double main event tonight, but you don't want to go anywhere because it's time for final thoughts. And folks, it's a jam-packed one because I got a lot to say tonight. And especially because it seems like when it comes to establishment media in New Jersey, I'm the only journalist standing up for Jewish people. That's right, I said it. I'm the only journalist standing up for Jewish people in a climate where anti-Semitism is running rampant on our college campuses, in media, in activism, you name it, folks. And the reason that I have this picture behind me is because it bears repeating again. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. There's no difference in this picture. On the left, you see a picture in 1938 where Nazi soldiers stood on the steps of Vienna University in Austria, attempting to stop Jewish students and Jewish faculty members from entering the campus at the height of World War II, as Nazis were looking to destroy Europe. They were doing that. And they were engaging in blatant anti-Semitism. Fast forward some 70-something years later, what do we see on the steps of Columbia University? Folks, it's Nazis with headscarves, screaming Allah Akbar, death to the West, and singing despicable songs like From the River to the Sea. And we all know what that means. But you would think in establishment media in New Jersey, with so many established journalists or propagandists, let's be honest, you would think that this would get more coverage. Oh, but that's right. That would require lazy journalists like, Max Pizarro, who's effing useless, Jay Lassiter, who's just as useless, Bob Hennelly, John Van Vliet, Alan Steinberg at Insider NJ. You got Charles Style at NorthJersey.com with the Bergen Record, right? You have other journalists throughout New Jersey that, for whatever reason, don't want to leave their house or don't want to get into the trenches. Folks, that's not the case with Fernando Uribe. Because again, when it comes to exposing anti-Semitism and how despicable it is, I have no problem, again, being in the trenches. Because again, when it comes to doing quality journalism, well, yes, that happens here on Real Talk. Hi, everyone. It's New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist here live at Jihadist University here on the Upper West Side in New York City. And I figure, being a premier award-winning journalist, I like to be out in the trenches. I like to be out in the streets as a man of the people and seeing all these jihadists out here, right, at the campus here of Jihadist University, right? Is it called something else? Columbia University, maybe? It's really Jihadist University, folks, here. And I figured, let me just be here and get some good footage here of all the jihadists here, voicing their First Amendment right, but acting like complete asses, let's be honest, because that's what they're doing. But, there's always people out there that defend it. So, great. Hi, everyone. It's New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, and certainly it's quite an experience to be here in Jihadist University here at Columbia, right? As you can see all the jihadists here. Obviously, with their typical pro-Palestinian defense and enabling and their typical apologies here. As you can see, obviously, folks, it's, obviously you can see here, it's jihadists everywhere here at Jihadist University, right? So here, as a broadcast journalist, you want to, be up close in the trenches here, at Columbia University. Hi, everyone. It's New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist here live at Jihadist University on the Upper West Side. I think it's called something else, but let's be honest, it's really Jihadist University. And I just got to say here, as you can hear, great job by the NYPD having to control and contain all this nonsense by all of these jihadists here at Columbia. So to be honest with you, I want to be just kind of like see it for myself, because we've seen it on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, but I kind of want to see jihadists up close, because that's what they are. They're jihadists. They're, you know, again, pro-Palestinian apologists, defenders, enablers. We all know the types, right? We all know who they are. Some of them are friends of mine, right? So I figure I'd be here and check out all these jihadists, because that's what they are, really, here. And of course, you know, why not? Since I'm in New York City, let me just check out exactly what's going on here with all these jihadists. So let me just sort of go through a little bit more here and see what they're doing. Yes. Wave hi to the camera. All the jihadists here at Columbia. All right. Yes. Yes. All the jihadists. Isn't that great? All the jihadists. Isn't that wonderful?
الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Folks, what you're seeing there on the campus of Columbia University and other campuses across the, folks, what you're seeing now is the decline of Western civilization. Because I can guarantee you, if you're Christian or Jewish, if you want to openly pray in Islamic countries, that's not going to work out well for you. But again, that's the level of intolerance that we're seeing with these Islamic communities. And that doesn't make me an Islamophobe. It doesn't make me hate Muslims. No, folks. What I'm telling you is that you're seeing this infestation of this culture into Western civilization. It's destroying our universities. It's destroying our way of life. It's destroying our quality of life. Now, again, unlike all the aforementioned journalists, or lack thereof, that I mentioned, I'm the only one that has the integrity. Again, folks, that's a really tricky 4-syllable word that a lot of journalists in New Jersey struggle with, right? Remember, integrity, right? You think Max Mazzara has integrity? Of course not. You think Jay Lasseter, John Van Vliet, Charles Style, you know, Alan Steinberg, Bob Hennelly, right? Like, do you think any of these slapnuts that barely leave their homes and go into the trenches want to examine this? No, of course not. Because they would rather perpetuate and capitulate, actually, this sort of awful visual here. Folks, I don't know about you, but this sickens me. It sickens me, because what we're seeing is a degradation of Western civilization. We're allowing cultural norms from this type of society to destroy Western civilization. We've seen it. Don't take my word for it. Let's continue.
الله استعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
And mind you, these are the same people that demand that you be tolerant of Islam. But these are the least intolerant people that you'll ever see. It's the hypocrisy is rich with all of these activists. Those that are screaming for the release of jihadists and domestic terrorists like Mahmoud Khalil. Those screaming, get in your face that we should be more tolerant, that the West should be more tolerant of Islam. Ladies and gentlemen, the most intolerant people that you'll ever run into are those that subscribe to this religion. We're seeing it on our college campuses. We're seeing it in the middle of Times Square. Folks, I'm starting not to recognize my country anymore, because we're being taken hostage, essentially, by these societal norms and a culture that is fixated on destroying Western civilization, on destroying the American nuclear family. Doesn't make me an Islamophobe, folks. It makes me truthful. And I know the truth isn't easy to hear for a lot of you, especially those of you jihadists on college campuses that are blatant anti-Semites. Let's continue with more visuals here about what we've seen on college campuses.
Is the university keeping the media out? This is the COO of the university. Are we not letting the media in? What? Can you back up, please? My card has been deactivated? Why? Can you back up, please? Wait. Everybody, my card has been deactivated. This is Cass Holloway, the COO. This is Gerald Lewis. They were in the meeting where I asked them if Hamas is a terror organization, and they couldn't say that it is a terrorist organization. Why? I'm a professor here. Why can't I?
Shai,
No. Speak out loud so the media
Shai,
can hear.
we are willing to take you to the math lawn.
No, I am a professor here.
Alumnus. We have a
Whoa, everybody quiet. I am a professor here. I have every right to be everywhere on campus. You cannot let people that support Hamas on campus
And folks, let's be very clear. These demonstrators, these professional agitators, they endorse Hamas. They endorse all of this anti-Semitism that's running rampant on our college campuses. Because I know personally Jewish students and Jewish faculty members, friends of mine that I went to grad school with, they're being subjected to despicable anti-Semitism on our campuses. Okay? Are there any other journalists standing up for Jewish people in New Jersey? Oh, spoiler alert, there isn't. You know who is? Fernando Uribe. And as I've said it before, I'll say it, I'm the hero you need right now. And I'll continue to be your hero. Because someone has to stand up for Jewish people, for Jewish faculty members and Jewish students. You think David Cruz is? Of course not. He's too busy deciding what to eat in the food court. You think Max Pizarro is? Of course not. He's too busy sitting on his ass at home, earning $100,000 a year, playing with his dick instead of actually publishing real columns. Or Jay Lasseter, living off his husband's money, because we all know this mother effer doesn't do shit to earn a paycheck. Or Bob Hennelly with his usual virtue signaling. Or Charles Style, who barely leaves his house. And if he's not bitching about Trump derangement syndrome, then what is he really good for? Folks, these are the journalists that supposedly we're supposed to trust and rely on to report on blatant anti-Semitism on our college campuses. No, folks, you can rely on me because I'm the only one talking about it for despicable acts like this one. Let's continue.
me, a professor, not go on campus. Let me in now.
Let us in.
No. Are you not?
Graduates of the School of International and Public Affairs chanted Free Palestine as they destroyed their sheepskins. It was Alumni Day on campus. The protests are in support of Mahmoud Khalil, the Columbia grad student and protester now held by ICE agents. And they also object to the concessions made to curb protests on campus.
And we will continue to rage at this institution until Mahmoud Khalil is free.
Folks, I can smell the cat piss through this video. Okay? I can smell the stench of just ugly feminism and cat piss through this video. And this is what's really interesting. To spend over $100,000 a year on a degree from a university, let's be honest, isn't what it used to be. Yeah, by the way, I got accepted to Columbia years ago when I was applying to grad schools, and I got in. I just chose not to attend because why would I want to put myself in that sort of debt to attend a school out of state? Let's be honest, when we think about the Ivy League, I mean, let's be fair, folks. Columbia is pretty much the New York Mets of the Ivy League. Any Ivy League graduate will tell you that. Well, at least the ones from the more prestigious schools. But think about the fact that there are men and women spending over $100,000 a year for a degree, whether it's undergrad or graduate, just to act like complete children. And after 4 years or a couple of years in grad school, all you've come to learn is to be an anti-Semite or a full-blown jihadist or someone that enables jihadism. Folks, it's pretty disgusting.
Free Palestine!
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 Free Mahmoud Khalil!
Free
folks, I can smell the cat piss through this video, folks. All right. I can smell the stench of ugly feminism and cat piss is resonating in this video. Okay. I mean, you could tell that all they did was get their degrees because let's be honest with these ladies, they weren't doing anything else during their college days. Let's be fair.
CEPA and Colombia are working against the incredible efforts their students are making
look at this.
to envision a world where Palestinians can enjoy their full human, civil, and national rights.
Imagine going bar hopping and like waking up next to this. I mean, folks, I want to jump. I probably would want to jump off the George Washington Bridge. And again, I'm not trying to make light of that. I mean, unfortunately, some people have done that. But imagine waking up next to this. My God. Dios mío. Imagine waking up next to this after a long night of partying, after drinking, after midterms or final exams. Imagine waking up next to this. My God, that dorm or apartment must stink of cat litter. Let's be honest.
CEPA alumni are not proud. We are enraged. And we will continue to rage at this institution.
I mean, I hope you continue to bathe, if anything else.
Until Mahmoud Khalil is free.
In renouncing my degree and tearing up my diploma, I say I will never stop talking about Palestine.
I mean, you'll never stop eating either, but that's another conversation.
I renounce my degree, and I hope that this small act will inspire others to reject Colombia and all the other institutions complicit in the genocide.
Folks, have you ever seen the least masculine man walking the earth? I mean, yeah, I've seen, Jay Lasseter and Max Pizarro and people like that, for example, in media. But man, this guy's up there, man. I mean, I think Max and Charles and Jay and Bob Hennelly and John Van Vliet and all that stuff, they got some competition here in terms of like the least masculine looking men I've ever seen in my adult life. Man, I'll tell you, you guys got some competition here with this one.
Side in Gaza.
I come here to say we see your complicity and cowardice, CEPA and Columbia University, and we say anyway, free Mahmoud, free Palestine.
Free Mahmoud, free Palestine.
And I bet you that was one of those prestigious gender study degrees, which is, we all know it's a bullshit major, folks. Okay. You can go to Barnes and Nobles over a weekend, right? And you can read everything you have to read about gender studies or women's studies. Okay. To spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on a bullshit gender study or women's studies degree just tells me everything you need to know about people like this. And the fact that they celebrate this at Columbia is even more embarrassing.
Colombia is colluding with the current government's project to destroy higher education.
Holy shit. When did Lena Dunham go to Columbia University, right? Anyone remembers that awful series on HBO, Girls? Lena Dunham? Yikes. I mean, imagine waking up next to this after a long night of drinking. Jesus Christ.
And to criminalize protest. Colombia is undermining the very purpose of a university.
No, it's not actually, honey. When you are blatantly engaging in anti-Semitism and weaponizing it to harass, destroy property on a college campus, I'm sorry. No, you're not entitled to whatever it is you're bitching about.
I will not support Columbia CEPA. I stand with Mahmoud and all the courageous students and faculty in protest and solidarity. Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Folks, what's really interesting there you go. A Master of International Affairs, folks, that's about as useful, I think, as Max Pizarro and Jay Lasseter leaving their homes and doing something productive with their time. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Rip it up, honey. I mean, again, it's years of hard work down the tubes just because you wish to support jihadists on a college campus. Yeah. Good job, honey. Oh my God. What are we doing here? But folks, again, this is what's being perpetuated on our college campuses. And for everyone that's all about having a hissy fit about Mahmoud Khalil, folks, here's the reality. Just because you knocked up an American woman and she's having your child, Mahmoud, doesn't entitle you to destroy property. Okay? It doesn't do that. Oh, and you want to know what Mahmoud Khalil was responsible for? Yeah, here's some footage. Yes, folks, the religion of peace looks really peaceful, doesn't it? And by the way, Mahmoud Khalil participated in these despicable acts and behavior. Here's a newsflash. When you decide to visit this country and you apply for a green card and a visa, it's not too much to ask for to obey the laws of the country that you're now living in. Maybe Mahmoud Khalil missed that memo, but here's a guy who helped lead these ridiculous protests, destroying property on the campus of Columbia University, handing out literature that is pretty much a propaganda wing of Hamas, Hezbollah, and other terrorist organizations. But somehow I'm supposed to feel sorry for that. No, I don't. And for any locals that do support this, you should be ashamed of yourself. But then again, do you have any shame to begin with? Let's continue to look at more of this, again, peaceful behavior from such a peaceful religion. Folks, you get the picture, right? You get the picture. And whether it's insufferable organizations like the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, led by resident cat lady Amy Torres, or Make the Road New Jersey, or the New Jersey Citizens Action Project, right? Or the Latino Action Network, that somehow think that rallying behind a despicable anti-Semite like Mahmoud Khalil is something noble. No, it's not. It's pretty disgusting. And quite frankly, it's hard to take any of these people seriously when they're not even showing even the least amount of integrity. They should know better. And folks, I don't feel sorry for Mahmoud Khalil. And guess what? Neither should you. Speaking about lacking integrity, let's talk about Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala. Yes, independent candidates running for the state assembly in the 32nd legislative district, arguably the most progressive district in all of the state of New Jersey. But what's interesting about Katie Brennan here, and again, folks, what's interesting is the idea, and I'm not going to read you the comment. Again, a shout out to John R. Highness, the editor of the Hudson County View, fellow member of the Pinnacle and fellow Rutgers alumnus, for highlighting the latest stupidity from Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala, where again, it's a very simple title. Bala and Brennan say Democrats need to either step up to Trump or step aside. And shout out to Bruce Alston with the Hudson County Chronicles for a very interesting dynamic and breakdown about Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala. I'll let you read that on your own. You can make your own determination, but very interesting column to say the least. But what's interesting about Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala is that, again, when you live in your own echo chamber it's hard to see the forest from the trees. And in a state, once again, with the highest property taxes in the country, again, at over $10,000 on average. I should know, I own multiple properties. I know I see them. When the gas tax just entered into its final phase, and even though gas is going down thanks to drilling domestically by President Donald Trump, okay, we're still looking at an average of $2.89 a gallon. That's 60 cents more than we should because of the gas tax. And what's the gas tax for? Oh, to make sure that we keep the Transportation Trust Fund replenished. While New Jersey roads continue to be in the bottom third of the country, according to AAA, that monitors how roads are maintained in this country. Or the fact that this summer, when we want to go down the shore to visit family or go down to PNC Bank Arts Center to go watch a concert or just go to the beach, we'll be paying more in tolls on the Parkway and on the Turnpike. These are the issues that matter to everyday people. But don't say that to Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala, because somehow in their warped sense of reality, Donald Trump has something to do with the tolls going up, with property taxes continue to increase, with the gas tax making gasoline more expensive in New Jersey. No, folks, it's far left Democrats that unfortunately have become the loud majority in Trenton, because moderate Democrats are outnumbered by these crazy left-wingers that love to coddle illegals, that think that giving driver's license to illegals was a good idea. Okay? When taking taxpayer dollars and putting it into a legal fund to help illegals fight deportation, someone thought that was a good idea. When we're seeing the catastrophic impact and harmful effects of what illegals are doing to our communities. Women are crossing the border pregnant and having their kids here. And guess what? We have to end up paying for them. We have to end up having them in our schools. And what are we seeing? Overcrowding in our schools. We're seeing good teachers throughout New Jersey having to deal with student classroom sizes somewhere between 30, 35, 40, even as many as 50 students. Why? Because guess what? They're crossing the border illegally and having their kids here. Okay? Or destroying the quality of life in the community. I see it all the time. Destroying the quality of life in our real estate. Okay? Illegals continue to destroy our way of life here, folks. Never mind the criminal illegals that are attacking, in many cases, killing innocent Americans. But you think Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala would think about that? Of course not. Ravi Bala is the same clown that upon taking office in January of 2018, decided to establish Hoboken as a sanctuary city. With all the problems going on in Hoboken, with flooding, with crime, okay? This fool, as mayor of Hoboken, cares more about pronouns than public safety and property taxes. This fool cares more about woke bullshit than dead bodies washing up on Sinatra Drive in Hoboken, or the infestation of rats in Hoboken. Not the rats that work at City Hall in his administration, but the actual physical rodents that pose a public health hazard to kids and seniors. That during Pride Month, it seems like Ravi Bala is more interested in spending money on repainting the crosswalks than hiring more police officers. Or Katie Brennan, with her privilege, wants to be sanctimonious and lecture you about, oh my God, the evils of Republicans, when Republicans have had zero to do with why the state is more unaffordable and becoming more expensive to live in. But she'd rather scapegoat Donald Trump, which has nothing to do with what happens in Trenton, than focus on real-world events. Because again, in the 32nd Legislative District, arguably the most progressive and woke district in the state, it seems like they think that their act resonates with people. No, it doesn't. People are tired of the woke bullshit, Katie and Ravi. Didn't you get that memo in November? Okay. I know I did. Because Donald Trump didn't just win the Electoral College. He just didn't fall back into the presidency. He won the popular vote decisively. He flipped hundreds and even thousands of counties red because people were tired of woke bullshit that somehow you two seem to be champions of. Again, in a time in New Jersey when we care more, according to you guys, we should care more about pronouns and illegals. Folks, it's about public safety. It's about property taxes. It's about affordability. Not the woke bullshit that Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala seem to, have a party in their pants about. Okay? You want to see Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala come close to ejaculating in their pants? Talk about pronouns. Talk about coddling illegals. Okay? Talk about denigrating law enforcement, trying to keep our community safe. That's what they do. And that's why you can't take them seriously. I don't. And folks, come June 10th, neither should you. These aren't good candidates. Because, folks, these are serious times. And we have serious problems. And we need serious people to solve them. When I think of serious people, I don't think of Katie Brennan and Ravi Bala. Again, the least serious people in this election cycle. And that's saying a lot. Because there's a lot of left-wing woke fools that are running for office in New Jersey. But leading the way, yeah, it's Ravi Bala and Katie Brennan. Folks, speaking of useless, let's talk about Tom Moran, who somehow, some way, was, I guess, after a brief retirement, decided to jump back into media. As we all know, the former editor-in-chief of the Star Ledger editorial board came up with his latest column, "If there were no Fox News, would there be a President Trump?" No, folks, that's not exactly true. And again, for someone that exhibits Trump derangement syndrome better than anybody in New Jersey politics and media, folks, it's been Tom Moran for many years. I'm not going to give you the gist of the article, but somehow, again, Tom Moran must have not been awake on election night a few months ago. And I get it for someone like Tom Moran, who was like in his early 90s. I get it. It's easy to get forgetful. Cognitively, you're not there, which is probably why he cheered on Joe Biden so feverishly, because, again, they share something in common. They're both cognitively useless. But the latest column, again, completely misses the point, like we all know Tom Moran did throughout the 2024 election cycle. As I said before, in a time when illegals are running rampant in this country, where illegals are committing crime in broad daylight, when illegals were being put up in 4-star hotels, getting EBT cards, getting healthcare while regular everyday Americans are struggling, Tom Moran didn't say a word about that. Or the fact that over 10 million illegals crossed the border. Folks, what have we seen since President Trump took office on January 20th of this year? Border crossings are at an all-time low. And when Joe Biden clearly was showing cognitive decline long before he took the presidency in 2020, not a peep from Tom Moran. And for a guy that's as old as Joe Biden, you would think he would be somewhat sympathetic to a guy who's cognitively useless. But no, Tom Moran, like every other liberal establishment journalist in New Jersey, blatantly lied to you. Telling you that Joe Biden is doing handstands, that somehow Joe Biden was doing the calculus homework of all the kids of his staffers. No, folks, we're learning that Joe Biden was pretty much useless, like Tom Moran. But he would lie to you that somehow democracy was on the line and that we're approaching fascism, because that's the line that Tom Moran gives you. And for a guy that, once again, I thought would ride him into the sunset, because, again, he's in his early 90s. You would think what's left of your life, Tom, you would enjoy either working at McDonald's or Wendy's or Burger King and being productive. But no, he figures, let me keep writing columns for another news organization, and columns that no one's going to read or take seriously. Because when did we ever take Tom Moran seriously? It's hard to do that. When Trump derangement syndrome is all you have to write about. In a year where, again, here in New Jersey, we have the highest property taxes in the country. The gas tax went up again. Tolls on the Parkway and Turnpike continue to increase. We continue to coddle the legals in New Jersey. You would think that's something important to write about in this election cycle. But no, Tom Moran would rather ejaculate in his pants about Donald Trump. I mean, I don't know if he still can at 90-something years old, but you get the picture. Folks, is there a more useless person in media than Tom Moran? I don't know. And that's saying something because we have a lot of useless mother effers in New Jersey. I've listed them already. I don't need to remind you who they are. But it seems like Tom Moran's back in the game. Cool. I miss cooking Tom Moran. So if Tom Moran's going to keep writing columns, good. I'll continue cooking them. And that's always a good thing. Here. Really. On Real Talk. And those are my final thoughts. Folks, a special commentary here tonight. And my deepest condolences go out to the Medina family, as Modesto Medina, the esteemed patriarch in the Medina family, a longtime archivist for the New York Times, recently passed peacefully in his home last week at the age of 95. My sincerest condolences go out to his family, and more specifically, Carlos Medina, the distinguished chairman of the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. A man who I get to call not just a friend, but a brother in media. A guy who's done an incredible job with his show, Que Pasa, on NJPBS. A guy who is very devoted to his kids and his family. And certainly while I don't like everyone in his family, I do want to send my sincerest condolences to the Medina family at this time. I can imagine the pain you're going through, Carlos. But on behalf of everyone here at Jersey First TV and the Uribe Gonzalez family, our sincerest prayers to you. We're thinking of you and we're praying for you. Once again, our deepest condolences to you on the death of your father, Modesto Medina, who was 95 when he passed last week. Folks, it is Monday, March the 31st, and of course, that signals the end of Women's History Month. But it's important for me that on this day, really, I can't think of anything else on March the 31st, but I want to remind you about the importance of biological Women's History Month. You know, biological women, because those are the ones I take seriously during this month. You know, adult females with ovaries, a vagina, a uterus, biological females. Because unlike many in the establishment media in New Jersey and in activism and local social justice clowns and woke fools, see, I took high school biology and passed it. As a matter of fact, I took AP biology at Memorial High School with the late, great Dr. Louis Marchesani. And of course, I got an A. Are you really surprised? But folks, during what I will call from now on Biological Women's History Month, these are the women we need to take seriously and honor. Whether it's been aviators, first ladies, activists, justices on the Supreme Court, you name it, folks, are women in our everyday lives. Again, the importance of biological women and the impact that they make on all of us. In my own life, my gorgeous mother, who again, folks, if you need any question answered where I get my good looks from, of course I get it from my mother. To my beautiful aunt, to my gorgeous bestie, to my amazing BFF down in Kentucky, to other female friends of mine who I absolutely adore, to my current sunshine, biological women, mothers, professionals. Again, biological women. Those are the ones I'm honoring today as we close out Biological Women's History Month. Okay? Not grown men playing make-believe. Not adolescent boys playing dress-up. No, folks. Not looking to encourage that. Whether it's grown men or delusional parents that are contributing to this madness. No, folks. I'm honoring biological women during Women's History Month. Again, adult females, with ovaries, vaginas, a uterus, a birth canal, biological females. That's who I'm honoring today on March the 31st as we conclude Biological Women's History Month. Now, you want to go celebrate some other nonsense, have at it. You want to be delusional? Good for you. You want to be clueless about biology? Have at it. But here on this show, folks, I'm going to take Women's History Month seriously and honor real women, biological women. Because today is the day to honor biological women during Women's History Month. Oh, grown men playing dress up, adolescent boys playing make-believe. Yeah, there's a day for you. It's tomorrow, April 1st, otherwise known as April Fools. And you got to be a fool to think that today isn't just Biological Women's History Month as it comes to a close. To think anything else, well, folks, really, who's the bigger fool here? Once again, happy Women's History Month here on the show. And of course, to my incredible boss, I want to forget her, here on Jersey First TV, to Rosemary Becky, to Ashley Smith, my bosses, the best bosses I've ever had in media, without question, are at Jersey First TV. So to those wonderful ladies and all the aforementioned ladies I mentioned, once again, happy Biological Women's History Month. Because biological women are the only women I'm honoring today, the 31st of March, and really throughout the entire month of March. Folks, and that's our show for this week. It's gone really long here. I really appreciate it. A little 2 hours plus, but I appreciate you sticking with us here. Great traffic as I can see on the numbers here on the screen. If you just joined us live, folks, share the episode as soon as we go off the air on all of your social media platforms. Of course, don't forget to like us on Facebook. Of course, follow us on Instagram and X. And if you follow us on YouTube, like, comment, and share, as well as subscribe to all the great content brought to you by Jersey First TV. And of course, whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, make sure you check out Jersey First on your smartphone, PC, Mac, or tablet. As the weather's getting warmer, you're outside walking your dog, going for a run, and maybe just doing some work at the park. You have one of your mobile devices on you? Check out Jersey First TV. And I can't say enough what a privilege it is to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, folks. It is the Jersey First Television Network. Brand new episodes of The Nader Narrative premiere every Thursday with my outstanding tag team partner, the amazing Elizabeth Nader. Check your local listings, of course. And also, brand new episodes of Real Talk premiere every Monday night. Check your local listings, of course. The latest edition of Real Talk right here on Jersey First TV. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Real Talk right here on the Jersey First Television Network. I am the generational talent in Garden State Media because, folks, my level of honesty now more than ever is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. I'm the hero you need right now more than ever, folks. I'll continue to lead us in this cesspool of liberal journalism, not just in New Jersey, but the ones we have to deal with on a national level as well. I'm Fernando Uribe. Folks, again, enjoy the rest of March. We'll see you next week here as we start the month of April. We'll be talking about autism awareness during the month of April and much more. Folks, you want to tune in, again, for the best hour plus of informative conversations, educational dialogue, and, of course, the best brand of opinion journalism anywhere in New Jersey, folks. It's always Real Talk right here with Jersey First TV. I'm Fernando Uribe. Enjoy the Final Four this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for stopping by. And always remember, stay classy, everyone.